And good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. And as we commence our meeting, I ask you to stand as we invite Miss Bernadette John to lead us in the national anthem.
I love beauty, I love splendor, I'll to all so sweet and fair. All must surely gaze in wonder at thy gift so rich and rare. Rivers, valleys, hills and mountains, all these gifts we do extol. Healthy land so like all fountains giving cheer that warms the soul.
Please remain standing as I invite Miss Decima O'Brien to lead us in prayer.
Shall we pray? Praise you, Jesus. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Father, we give you thanks and we give you praise, first of all, for life. We are thankful to you for the day, for your strength, for your mercy, for your grace, Lord, for your protection and your provision. Father, we thank you tonight, O God, even as we have gathered here for this town hall meeting to discuss, O Father, the budget. Lord, I commit those at the head table before you, O God. As your word has declared, in everything we do, we should acknowledge you that you will direct us, O God. And if there is a time, Lord, we need your direction, it is now. Because, Father, we in ourselves, Lord, we cannot do it on our own. It's too much. So, Lord, we present them before you. We thank you for your insight for them. We thank you for wisdom. We thank you, oh God, even as Solomon, Lord, when he looked at the crowd, he said, Lord, he needs your wisdom. And so we pray for wisdom, Father, added wisdom for them, oh God. Lord, even as they debate, Lord, even as they answer, even as they seek, oh God, answers, Lord, to assist our country and persons, oh God, you would grant it unto them. Father, we pray, oh Lord Jesus, that you will give them the wisdom in looking around the resources that you have placed in our country, that, oh God, it would be developed, Lord, that our young persons, Father, would find work, Lord Jesus. We give you thanks because you say, as we ask, Lord, in the name of Jesus, we will receive. Of Babel, oh Father, they did. When they were building that tower, you said in your word, if we stand our gold. And I pray, oh God, as ministers, oh Father, as cabinet, Lord, they, oh God, will put their heads together, Lord. We pray against, oh God, that would want to creep in. We ask, Father, that they would stand united, Lord, as a force to be reckoned with. Lord, we just want to thank you at this time for the presence of your Holy Spirit. We invite him here. We give you thanks, Lord. We know that there are many persons who will be, oh God, Father, criticizing, but I pray that it will be constructive criticism. Lord, there are persons who have great ideas. They would not go back with it tonight, but they would share, Lord, with us, oh God, or with the panel, Lord, that they, oh God, can use those ideas to assist in their planning. We just want to praise you, Father, as we commit this meeting before you. We decree and declare that we'll have a peaceful meeting, we'll have a successful meeting. We pray for those who are on their way that you hasten their footstep. Maybe some have forgotten that, Lord, your Holy Spirit will remind them that they need to be here to discuss, Lord. Father, just have your way in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you, Decima and Bernadette. Brothers and sisters, development is all about you, the people, and the cabinet of ministers under the leadership of Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit made a decision to meet the people at the level of their community to discuss the budget for the fiscal year 2015-2016 with them and to hear from them. And this is the third in that series, and it is my pleasure to invite Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerrit to welcome you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Let me say good evening to all of us present. Let me, in a special way, recognize Honorable Ian Douglas, our Minister for Employment, Trade and Energy, Honorable Robert Town, Minister for Tourism and Urban Renewal, Honorable Dr. Colin McIntyre, our Minister for Investment, Economic Development and the Parliamentary Representative for the Roseau Valley constituency, my ordinary cabinet colleagues who are present, Ambassador Eddie Lambert, who is the chairperson of this evening's town hall meeting, Ambassador Steve Farrell, the secretary to the cabinet, permanent secretaries and other public officers. I see former PAL rep, Mr. Henry George, the chairperson and other councillors of the Trafalgar Village Council, residents of the Roseau Valley, ladies and gentlemen, those listening via live broadcast of this town hall meeting, I say a very warm good evening to all of you. It is my pleasure to stand before you this evening in the Valley, so soon after the recent general elections. The Valley is a constituency I traverse quite often, but they are not always speaking opportunities. I therefore welcome residents of the Roseau Valley constituency to this third in the series of community-based meetings, sensitizing residents to the contents, potential impact, and financial implications of the 2015-2016 budget. Please permit me a moment to acknowledge receipt of the hundreds of texts and emails and Instagrams and other messages related to me about the impact of this series of meetings and the appreciation of Dominicans living at home and abroad for this gesture. I should explain to you that while I do read all of your mail, it is not always convenient to respond immediately. And honestly, the build-up is so huge, I tend to lag behind in this regard. I nonetheless wish to reiterate my appreciation to all concerned for going to the trouble of dropping us a line. We value this immensely, and I assure you that even though I might, on occasion, be seemingly delinquent in not responding, I, however, do take note of your suggestions, concerns, and requests. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is this type of interactive engagement that helps to influence and inform decision-making at the party, cabinet, and even parliamentary level. For we strive, however, and wherever possible, to reflect the views and address the concerns of the public in our undertakings. Ladies and gentlemen, we are here in the Valley this evening to share with you the background and rationale to the contents and packaging of the recent budget. I know tourism is a key economic pillar of many in the Valley, and we have deliberately invited the Minister for Tourism to share with you this evening, also the Minister for Trade and Energy, who shall update you on a number of issues, including the geothermal initiative. I know also that many of you in this particular constituency have read and scrutinized the budget. You are also fortunate to have the Minister for Economic Planning as your PAL rep, and he too will be addressing you this evening. I shall therefore use this occasion to elaborate on a few matters that were touched on in the budget presentation. My attention has been drawn to the criticism by some of the measure we have introduced, whereby we have asked motorists to contribute in our ever-expanding highway improvement program. I wish to make clear that this is not an increase in registration fees or license fees. The $100 imposition on car owners is as much a fiscal measure as it is a crash course in civics. Each year, we trek to the Windsor Park Stadium for the annual Independence Day parade. True, it's a colorful occasion and the atmosphere is most joyful. But independence is about more than fun and frolic. It is about stressing responsibility in the pursuit of maturity. We cannot, as a small independent nation, appeal to the world for assistance in our development process, but yet be unwilling to contribute directly to the cause. The $100 you are asked to pay towards the building and maintenance of our vast road network is statistically insignificant in terms of the total overall sum spent on roads in this country. But by contributing a little something every year, I am hopeful that such sacrifice would foster greater appreciation for the work of those charged with maintaining our road surfaces. If there are an average 20,000 vehicles on the road, then it is less than a quarter from the imposition. But that is $250,000 that you, the people of Dominica, have invested directly in stress, and I wish to stress, your roads. They are not the government's roads, and certainly they are not the Prime Minister's roads. They are your roads. And while I am on this topic, I want to expand on a point I raised in the budget, but which amazingly has not been endorsed by those who believe they are better suited to run the country at this time. 40% of road users in Dominica have not been paying the road tax. In other words, they have been driving on the roads of this country unlawfully and illegally. On the other hand, there is the consideration of the loss of revenue as a result of such delinquency. But over and above this is the even more serious consideration of these vehicles not having the required level of insurance cover. Others have criticized this government for imposing the highway improvement levy. But what they're not recognizing is the value-added benefit of being able to see and determine those vehicles that are not displaying the insignia and which, by extension, are probably not licensed or insured. How can anyone seeking to hold leadership positions in this country criticize a measure that will return order to road usage in Dominica and which ultimately will safeguard and protect the rights of citizens? If you're driving a vehicle and it is not licensed or insured, and it swerves out of control and injures or unfortunately kills someone, what are you going to say to the family? That you're sorry? Sorry, my vehicle was not insured, so I cannot help pay your medical bills? Sorry, my vehicle was not insured, so I cannot compensate you for the loss of limb or life. Sorry, I am not in a position to replace your guard wall or the fence I destroyed as a result of my careless driving or malfunctioning vehicle. How can this be fair, ladies and gentlemen? How can this be condoned by persons wanting to lead Dominica? This is a byproduct of the practice of irresponsibility that the imposition of the Highway Improvement Levy begins to address. Part of the money will be funneled towards public education. There are certain common practices that need to be stamped out in this country. And we'll be using part of the proceeds of that fund to impress upon motorists the need for greater maturity and responsibility in the use of our highways. Simple things like stopping and chatting or parking around a blind corner, traveling at excessive speeds, especially in areas frequented by visiting drivers, leaving children and pets unattended in a vehicle, not wearing seat belts, whether driving or as a passenger, playing music so loudly you cannot hear the approach of another vehicle, far less the siren of the police, fire, or ambulance vehicle. There's also the issue of throwing litter from vehicles, driving through rain and splashing pedestrians, and operating vehicles without well-functioning lights, whether at the back or the front of the vehicle. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to improve our road etiquette in this country. Tourism is now a key plank of our economic existence. And we have to recognize that the old way of doing things is no longer acceptable. There are certain international standards and practices we simply have to embrace and adopt in this country of ours. The $100 motorists are paying annually will help in this public education exercise, as well as with the occasional patch of the so-called sugar cake that each road user desires in every single community. So the 2015-2016 budget is not so much about raising revenue as it is about highlighting and promoting responsibility and civic mindedness. The same principle applies to the so-called sin taxes. I have absolutely no sympathy for a smoker who is inconvenienced by the increase in tariff on cigarettes, or a drinker who has been forced to contain his or her consumption of alcohol as a result of the increase in duties. All available evidence indicates that smoking and excessive drinking are harmful to our health. Yet, too many Dominicans are picking up both vices and displaying the practice as a badge of honor. I honestly do not think, as Minister for Finance, I am finished with my actions to deter the proliferation of smoking and excessive drinking in Dominica. If what we have done so far does not have the desired effect, I will revisit the issue again, perhaps even before the next budget address. Because I know people have rights. Saying that we'll ban cigarettes and alcohol, I'm not saying that. But when I reflect on the millions of dollars that certain lifestyle diseases are costing Dominica, I cannot and will not sit silent and allow such unhealthy practices to escalate without introducing measures to curb it. The same goes as well for the sugar rush. Not only are we destroying our children's teeth, but the majority of our people are prone to hypertension, diabetes, among other NCDs. And the cost of these to the state each year is astronomical. It is increasing every year, and more of us are getting sick every year. So I am here this evening to hear your concerns and perspectives. I have shared my position on some matters, and I would welcome hearing your views. You do not necessarily have to agree with me, but let us at least get the conversation started. I welcome each and every one living in and visiting the valley this evening. The atmosphere in Mahu and Salibio was great, and I am confident the valley this evening will be no less riveting and intellectually stimulating. I want to thank and welcome all of you to this, the third in our series of post-budget community outreach meetings. It is my absolute pleasure to be here in the Valley, and more specifically, Trafalgar. I want to thank you for your listening. God bless you.
Thank you, PM. The Honorable Prime Minister has been frank with you, and he's asking you in turn to be frank with him and the rest of the cabinet. I should indicate to you that we have most of the cabinet members, and in the course of our question time, while the focus is on the ministers who will present, if any of you have concerns that do not directly relate to the presentations, do feel free to raise them. We are going to conduct the meeting in a manner in which we will first hear from the three ministers to present. After each minister presents, we will have a question period. And then those of you wanting to ask questions, we're supposed to have a mic, a floating mic around, so you'll do so. The next speaker is Honorable Robert Tong, popularly known as Robbie. Most people around town know him as Robbie. He is the Minister of Responsibility for Tourism and Urban Renewal, and I invite him to address us.
Honorable Roosevelt, Honorable Roosevelt Skerritt, Prime Minister, Honorable John Colin McIntyre, Parliamentary Representative, Honorable Ian Douglas, Minister of Trade, Energy and Employment, Ambassador Eddie Lambert, Cabinet colleagues, Chairman of the Trafalgar Village Council, Pal Rep Mr. Henry George, to the vendors, the many vendors I see out here tonight, the media, residents, ladies and gentlemen. It is indeed a pleasure to be here this evening to address so many of you. I'm really pleased to see the turnout here tonight. The Roosevelt Valley is one of the most amazing places in Dominica, filled with so much natural beauty, whereby one can come to one area and can spend the entire day without having to leave the valley, and seeing so many amazing sights, such as the Freshwater Lake, the Berry Lake, the Boiling Lake, the Middleham Falls, Trafalgar Falls, T2 Gorge, Watton-Waven Sulphur Springs, the hot water baths, to name a few. So as you can see, one can come here and work and visit for the entire day and not have to live here. But obviously, all the various communities must work together to ensure that there is unity among each other, so that when a person starts in one area, they continue moving to the other areas, so that most importantly, the revenue, the monies that they have is spent in all the various communities. Obviously, what we want is for persons to leave as much revenue or money in Dominica. Tourism obviously creates an avenue for many of you here and around Dominica for employment. So many persons will see opportunities, and coming out of those opportunities, employment will be created. And employment is the only way. There's no other way to get out of poverty. You must have some form of employment. And one can be employed and work based on experience. And if you work based on experience, it means your salary will increase, but it will increase very slowly. So education is also very important. One must educate themselves. Education and experience and doing a great job is the best way to move things forward. The government of Dominica is obviously very much committed to creating employment and also ensuring that education is key and making sure that everyone has access to secondary school, for all persons to be able to attend the college and also to have at least one university graduate in every home. Very importantly, many people in the media say all sorts of things. And I think it's important that you don't just listen to what people say and take it for the gospel. People say what they want, when they want. You have to take your time to go out and educate yourself and make sure what you're being told is actually the truth. So in 2014, the ECC, which is the smaller group of the Caribbean islands, we were estimated for our growth, economic growth, to be at a rate of 2.9%. However, Dominica in the same year, 2014, achieved a growth of 3.4%. So Dominica actually exceeded that of all the other islands on average. As a result of proper planning, the development of tourism, of the tourism industry continues to grow, contrary to what 2014, at the end of 2014, you had 81,472 stay-over visitors. That is actually a 4.1% increase over the previous year. As I said before, the main objective is to increase the number of stay-over arrivals in Dominica and for them to spend. Many of you all may not necessarily know what the contribution is, but for the year 2014, persons coming to Dominica actually contributed $343 million into the economy of Dominica. Obviously, not one person gets that. The hotels get it, the taxi drivers get it. I mean, the vendors get it. It's spread all over the country, both directly and indirectly. Even the banks, the telecommunication companies. So obviously, again, it shows the importance of tourism, and the government of Dominica sees it as very important to ensure that we increase the number of persons coming to Dominica. And that is primarily the role of the Ministry of Tourism and Urban Renewal, is to increase the number of people coming to Dominica. But very importantly, someone is only going to come into Dominica, beautiful message out there. So the role of the marketing department is also to ensure that the message that goes out of Dominica is a very good one. And we all know Dominica is filled of so many different things to do. I saw someone with a shirt a while ago. It says something about Hawaii. Many people compare to Dominica to be a small Hawaii because we have so many things to do. There's the waterfalls, there's the beaches. A lot of times we don't talk about our beaches, but we have beautiful black sand beaches. Okay? We have wonderful dive sites, snorkeling sites, champagne, whale watching almost year-round. So I mean, when you come to Dominica, it is impossible for you to see all of our natural wonders in one day or 2 days. I think it's going to take about a week. And the average person comes to Dominica actually for about 7 days. So we have to ensure that the marketing message is a beautiful, wonderful message so persons are attracted to come to Dominica. But there's a missing link. When they come to Dominica, the service and the experience that they get is also extremely important. So we can do all this beautiful marketing, and when someone comes to Dominica and they have a horrible experience, what are they going to say? As we know, most times you have a horrible experience, you tell 10 people. You have a great experience, you tell 2. So we have to ensure that we reduce the amount of negative messages going out there. So the government of Dominica has actually approved $6 million. And that is actually an increase of 33% compared to the previous years. That's a significant increase. It shows that the government of Dominica is committed to the increase of and the importance of tourism in our economy. Many of us would like to have a lot more for tourism, but we have to be real. And that is why the budget says, keeping it real. All of us would like a fancy car. All of us would like, I would like new glasses right now. I've had these glasses for 3 years and I'm not seeing very clearly. But I have to manage my finances, and likewise the government has to do the same thing. So in terms of our marketing, it is a given that many are not aware of our country as we would like it to be. Therefore, we're going to ensure that we position ourselves, that we rebrand the country so that people will know more about Dominica. When people know more about Dominica, they will want to come to Dominica. And as I said, when they come to Dominica, very importantly, the experience has to be amazing. So the Government of Dominica is also going to be ensuring that we put in place training programs to ensure that all the persons touching the tourist or the visitor is properly trained. And that starts from the immigration officer to the customs officer, to Prim at the airport, to the taxi drivers, to the hotel, to the tour guides, to the tour operators. Everybody has a role to play, and we have to ensure that we give the best possible service to the visitors. So the Ministry of Tourism, and especially for the Discover Dominica, will be putting training programs in place to ensure that every single person has some form of training to ensure that we give the best possible service to our visitors. Many times it is said that we don't speak to the stakeholders, but the Ministry of Tourism ensures that we have spoken to every single stakeholder in the business to ensure that we are aware as to what are the challenges and how we can put things in place. We recently had a meeting with the vendors, and I can tell you I was very surprised. It was maybe almost the same amount of vendors inside of here. And as you know, the vendors are very excited people. They say what they have to say. They say it how they want to say it. But in the end, our responsibility is to listen and see how we can put things in place to make sure it works. We have also listened to the hotels, the taxi drivers, to make sure we put things in place to make it better. In terms of marketing, as I said, we're not going to continue doing the same thing that we've been doing before. We have to ensure that that $6 million that we get, it is spent in the best possible way. We have to decide who are the clients who want to come to Dominica, and we have to go after these particular clients. We can no longer just send a big net and expect to catch as many fish as possible. We have to know exactly where we're going to get those fish. In terms of air access, many times people have difficulty in terms of booking the tickets to Dominica. So for the Discover Dominica Authority, we have an air access committee which has been speaking with all the various airlines to ensure that people can come to Dominica much easier. In the past, when you had to come to Dominica, you'd have to book your flight for Liat and then book it through American Airlines. You no longer have to do that because of the partnerships that Liat has with the big airlines and also Seaborne Airlines. So right now you can go online, book your ticket with Seaborne, and have your bags checked all the way to Dominica. Most of you who have traveled before realize in the past you'd have to get off the plane, go clear your bags, go back and recheck in, and hopefully if you had sufficient time you'd make it. Now imagine you're coming home to Dominica, you don't have a choice. But the visitor has a choice. They don't need to go through all of these hassles. So by ensuring that we put in all these measures in place, it makes it much easier for them to come to Dominica. And very importantly, they can also come to Dominica the same day as opposed to having to overnight, spend money for a hotel, making other destinations more attractive than we are. So these things are in place. Many people say that night landing is a thing of the past, but that is not true. If you go on JetBlue right now to come to Dominica, you book on JetBlue, it'll book a flight for Liat, and you get into Dominica at 7 o'clock the same night. So night landing is real, despite of what you hear. So that's why I say many times you really have to educate yourself to ensure that the information that is being given is not incorrect. Until we have our international airports, we're also going to use the other international airports as our own hubs to a certain extent. So right now, if you go to St. Martin, when you get into the departure lounge, you'll actually see a nice booth that has nice, beautiful designs of Dominica, so that when you come from wherever, you can have some assistance if you have any issues. So again, the whole intention is to create a better experience for the visitor coming to Dominica. We all know a significant amount of people have been coming to Dominica through the ferry. That's actually 33% of persons come to Dominica through the ferry. And as you'd hear recently on the radio, we have done through the other ministries. Again, the Ministry of Tourism is not responsible to implement everything, but our role is to advocate. Our role is to work on your behalf, to work on the government's behalf, to work on the visitors' behalf, to ensure that the experience is better. So the ferry terminal, the experience was not as great as it should be, but now we've put things in place. A lot of people don't necessarily understand. So let's give me a few minutes to explain. Traditionally, people come on the ferry. You have 50 people from Dominica, 150 people from Martinique, Guadeloupe. Before the boat reaches to Dominica, to dock, you realize all of a sudden, all the Dominicans stand up. And imagine you're foreigner, you're wondering what's going on. Are they going to look at whales or something? But it's not whales. What they're doing is preparing themselves to get off the boat. When they jump off the boat, it blocks all the other people. So the foreigner who has taken an hour and 40 minutes, or hour and 30 minutes to get here, has to stay in the line for 2 hours plus. Just imagine if that happened to you. Would you want to come back to the country? So we've spoken to all the stakeholders to ensure that this transition is a lot better. So things have been put in place. One of the setbacks is also the card identity. Most of the French people come with a card identity, and the machine couldn't read it. Right now, the machine can read those cards, so it allows the French persons to come through immigration a lot faster. We have separate lines. So the whole thing is to ensure that the customer has a much better experience. We talked about training and standards. Standards are going to be very important. We have to ensure that everybody is given the service that is expected. People are coming from wherever, and they expect certain standards. So we have to ensure that we put those standards in place, and the training will be in place to assist with that. And we also have the regulations that we put in place to ensure that persons who are not adhering to the standards can be dealt with. In terms of the cruise industry, I know many of you vendors here today are very much interested in that. And many of us talked about, even when I just came in, someone said, hey, what about the premium sites? Right. So we came, we spoke to the vendors, and we said, you know, something that has changed the times to suit. But again, you really have to sit down and listen to everybody before you just make decisions. So we sat down with everyone to make the best possible decisions, including the cruise ships. Because remember, the cruise ship comes to Dominica to make money. And if they don't make money, why should they come here? But also, very importantly, the guests must have a great experience. And that's why we talked about the training and the standards. If they get great experience, they will talk about and they want to come back some more. The cruise ships also rate us on a regular basis. So every time people come off the boat and they go back on, they give them questionnaires to fill out to see how was the experience. And we have to ensure that our scores are better than any other island to ensure that they will want to come back to our shores. So the intention is to ensure that every tour coming off the boat is technically an organized tour. What that does, it ensures that everybody, all the bus drivers get a fair turn. Many of the bus drivers say they don't get a fair turn. We're also going to ensure that every bus has a tour guide. Why? There are two reasons for doing that. One, it ensures that the score that we get for customer satisfaction goes up. So when we have organized tours, the score we get is about 8.5. We're shooting to get scores of 8 out of 10. Whenever the passengers go on what they call the gypsy taxis, we get a score of 6.5. So we have to ensure that our scores are high at all the time. And one of the ways that we're getting these high scores is because we have tour guides on the organized buses. So by ensuring in the future that all tour buses have tour guides, it means our score will be better. The cruise ship passengers will be happier. The cruise ship will be happier because they have better scores. But most importantly, too, it means more individuals can get jobs as tour guides on the various buses. So if you look at, we have about 300 buses, maybe 150 of them do the organized tours. So it means there's a potential of having over 100 new individuals employed. And I think right now, this week, the Discover Dominica Authority actually has training for tour guides. So persons who are interested in the tour guide business should ensure that they sign up for those. All persons go into all the sites, all the important sites, will change the terminology from a premium site to a priority access site. So it means Trafalgar Falls will open up to be a priority access site, which means there'll be no There'll be no times to stop the persons from coming there. But it means that the buses coming there will be properly organized and have proper tour guides on board. And especially for the vendors, it brings more revenue to you. But very importantly, we're going to ensure that the buses, when the people come off the tour, they have to spend at least 15 minutes in the area to ensure it increases your chances of sales. We're also going to, and when we talk about training, we're also going to put in place training for the vendors in terms of sales, because the only way to get people to buy is to learn how to sell. And there are many techniques that you can use to increase your sales. So this would definitely increase your revenue in this area, and it'll also increase the amount of persons who are employed in the tourism business. But again, when people come to the sites, it's important that we maintain the sites and ensure that the sites are at a particular level, especially when it comes to tourists on the cruise ship. 60% of the tourists on the cruise ships are actually returned. So it means over a 5-year period, most of them have been here before. So we have to ensure that they don't just say to us, oh, I've been to Trafalgar. We can say, hey, Trafalgar has been improved by doing X, Y, and Z, or the trails have been enlarged. And so we have to ensure that we maintain our trails and our sites. So a lot of these things we will be doing to ensure that the visitors have a great experience. How much time I have now? One of the things that also affects tourism and also us as individuals is vagrancy. So the Government of Dominica is very serious about it, and we will be putting measures in place to address this issue. But we obviously have to do it in a very humane way, because every vagrant you see out there is either somebody's mother, father, sister, uncle, or whatever. So we must do it in a proper way so that your human rights are not trampled upon. When the tourists come to Roseau has to look a particular way. And you've seen many times that the road, the sidewalks are unlevel, the gutters. I mean, you and I, we've grown up, we're accustomed to the gutters, but they can be a bit better, because many of us have gutters at our home, but they're very clean. So we have to ensure that the gutters are clean. But the Government of Dominica is so worried about this. We have actually put in place what we call the Roseau Enhancement Project. And many of you who are aware of it, the Roseau Enhancement Project is really a project to enhance the look and feel of the city. So when someone comes off the vessel, or when someone walks into Roseau, they will want to walk through the streets. And if you start walking through the street, it means you're going to start seeing businesses. And if the businesses have nice facades, it means more potential for economic activity. So that's by making the streets better, by making the sidewalks better, by removing the overhead lines and putting them on the ground, it means the city will look a lot better, a lot cleaner, but very importantly, it will allow persons to move around to increase economic activity. So the Government of Dominica this year has a budget of over $25 million, which will go towards the renovation of the Independence Street and also the complete removal of the bridge going out of the West Bridge going out of town. Many of you all who may not even realize it, but a couple of years ago, that project actually started. So if you realize, from the EC Lowback Bridge, that was actually one of the first phases of the Roseau Enhancement program, going up to Linda Park. You would see that it was actually done where the streets were properly paved, the underground lights, even the use of solar lights, going all the way back to the stadium and back to by Alliance Française. That in itself cost over $21 million. Again, a sign that the Government of Dominica is very serious. With regards to the Roseau Enhancement Project, the design, what we're going for right now is the design phase, and that will be complete by the end of November. And we're hoping that tenders can be given out to the various contractors, so we can start early in 2016. Another great project that the Government of Dominica will be doing is that Dominica is the only country that has I still consider it to be clean compared to other rivers that I've seen. Dominica is the only country that has a clean river flowing through its city. Many people say that we should just cover it and put a garage over it, but just imagine that beauty will be totally gone. So we also have a project called the Roseau River Promenade, where the entire side will be redone with a boardwalk. So it is actually an area where persons can come and recreate and have snacks, and also with a proper restaurant, so that it'll basically uplift Roseau. So these are some of the things that's going to be done. This is actually going to cost over $5 million. But again, the government of Dominica has to be prudent with the management of its finances. So we're going to be spending $3 million this year, $2 million next year. So within the next 3 years, it'll be totally completed. Roseau Promenade, sorry. Just a couple of the notes. Garbage. We really need to work on our garbage. And really and truly, the government of Dominica cannot do all of it by itself. We as the residents also have to take care of our communities. So the government of Dominica will be looking at seeing ways of how we can make the disposal of garbage better, but we as individuals, we must work on it. Sometimes it says no dumping of garbage, or you can dump garbage there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. But if you drive around on a Saturday morning, by 10 o'clock, there's garbage outside already. So we as individuals also have our share of work to do to ensure that the area looks good. Community tourism, again, the various communities is very important, and the government of Dominica is actually supporting over 22 communities to ensure that the facilities in the area are at a particular standard. And based on our meeting with the vendors recently, they reminded us of the Waterweaven area that needs some upgrading, so we'll definitely be looking at that. Again, the government of Dominica is very concerned about the generation of employment, and many of you have heard about the CBI program, and that's a program that will be used to help create jobs. So we actually have one project online which will start breaking ground at the end of this year, and you're looking at, once that hotel is complete, over 380 persons would be employed. And we're also ensuring that in the contracts that we have with these individuals, that a significant portion of the persons who are going to be employed have to be Dominicans. So, a matter of fact, if I remember correctly, it's in the range between 60 and 70%. We're also putting in programs to ensure that they will also take some of these people, bring them to their properties, train them, so we can also have persons at a high level. We don't just want persons sweeping the ground. We want managers in all these companies to be Dominicans. There's so many more things I can talk about, but I'd be more than happy to come at some other time. If Mr. McIntyre invites me, I'll be more than happy to come here. So thank you very much, and if you have any questions, please ask.
The minister kept it simple. He was straightforward. He was practical. I myself learned a lot from listening to him, and I'm sure you did. And those of you who have any questions, the time is now to direct your questions at him. Those of you with questions, you can come up. We'll take about 5 questions at a time.
Yeah, good evening. With Skerrit, PM, Mr. Colin McIntyre, my good friend there, It's just a simple question. For the past 7 years, you always come to the same area for our community public center down there. You promised that us for the past 7 years. Every time I come, I see you, I asking you that. When you going to work on that first? No?
Good evening to everyone. My question is to our Minister of Tourism. The problem of garbage in the city, we also have this problem here. So I would like to ask you, what do you really have in mind to solve that problem? Because it is really an eyesore. As you spoke of that that bridge going up to Lindo Park, I was walking up yesterday to go to the hospital. I like to pass there. I really love that area. But I was amazed to see the amount of water bottles and all, you just name it, that was from way up as you live in the park to go way down to the bridge. And I mean, it is really sad. So what do you really have in mind to solve that problem?
Okay, with regards to with regards to garbage in Trafalgar, I always felt that Trafalgar was one of the places that was very clean. I'm surprised to actually hear that, and even at the consultations that we've had, that was never actually brought up. So it's something that we can maybe speak with you in more detail. But as I said, it really has to start with us. To ensure that they don't almost throw something out of my window, and my 4-year-old son said, "Daddy, you're littering." If he sees smoke, he says, "Daddy, that is pollution." You know, so we really have to start teaching our kids not to do these things. But in the meantime, we have to try and it really starts with us. We may have to take certain decisions that people may not like with regards to what I call non-biodegradable items, and at some point, I guess we'll deal with that in the future.
I think we should make examples. We should start making examples by making people pay.
Indeed.
Because
indeed.
if they have to collect the rubbish on a Monday, I observe when you pass Monday afternoon or Tuesday, well, sometimes the truck is late. But after the truck has picked up the rubbish, it is sad to see we have visitors, and we had a lot of, thank God, we had a lot of French people we are still having from maybe the past 3 weeks. And when they are passing, going up, and what we say in Dominica is the nature island of the car, it is sad to see the level of rubbish that is on the roadside after the truck has passed and picked up the rubbish.
Yes.
And we as the community people, sometimes they leave little things down. We should pass and just take a broom and clean it. Learn to keep our community clean. So I believe you all should start as income. Make them pay.
That is very true. And as I said, there's so many different things we couldn't address all of it. But one of the things we have to do is to reactivate what we call the wardens. And these wardens will be the persons who can begin to charge people for littering and stuff like that.
Okay. Yeah, Robert.
Let's give somebody else a chance. You can come back.
No, that thing will start next month, 1st of September, the new levy, the road tax. And I'm a Dominican, and I know personally those bus drivers. You see $100 for a whole year, $100 for 365 days. They're going to put an increase for road fares and UPM. I know you're serious and you're a tight person, but tell these fellas, yo, $100 is a new thing. How much increase are you going to put on the fares for? So 1 cent or 5 cents or $1? So you have to take care of that first, yeah.
Mr. Minister of Tourism, I was happy that you spoke about the reorganization and the renovation of Roseau. I think there are a number of old buildings in Roseau that we have to find who the owners are and get them to either take them down and rebuild them, because doesn't make Roseau a site that we can appreciate. Thank you very much.
Okay, good evening. Mr. Tong, I would like a little clarification on the, what do you call it, privilege enhancement side? Priority side. How does that work out?
Okay, remember right now the site, we call it a premium access site, and there's specific times. What we're going to do is that we're going to change the word to what it really ought to be. And what we're trying to do is to give priority access to the cruise ships when they come to Dominica. But very importantly, the bus drivers claim that many of them don't get a proper turn. So the turn system needs to be worked on. So as opposed to a person getting a turn every 2 days, they might be getting a turn over a week. What we're also going to do is to ensure that all of these persons who are going down at the bayfront will be dispatched from the bayfront, and then they can decide whichever site that they want to go to. So what it does, as opposed to closing it up to a specific period of time, it means everybody who leaves down there can come to Trafalgar, so Trafalgar can get a lot more people, and all the other sites can get a lot more people.
Okay, then well, one more point. Were you going to change the ticket, or because presently it's a premium site, I as a private operator pay more to access the site than the person who gets a priority to use it, which don't make too much economic sense. So to me, what I was figuring is if it's going to be privilege to somebody, they should pay more to have privilege to the site than the regular person.
Yeah, but remember, they have the privilege because they bring in a lot more people than the person who... So remember, the cruise ship sends in 500 people, as opposed to an individual who brings in 20 people. So it is based on the volume.
Yeah, what we say is, economically, $3 to $5. We pay $5, they pay $3. Why, if they get the privilege, they should pay, it should be basically the reverse. They pay more, we pay less.
Yeah, but remember, if you go anywhere and you buy more than everybody else, you get a discount. So that's basically what it is. It's a discount.
Okay, then. The other point is, since we want to train our... But at the same time, you cannot get a good product and the guy that go and give the talk tend to go back up. And his price, he gets paid $60. How is he going to feed his kids on $60? And how do you expect that man to smile for the tourists?
Okay. Based on the interaction with the tour guides, they are supposed to come back to us with a proposal as to what they feel is the right amount to be charged for them doing the job. But very importantly, society has changed in such a way that we spend way too much money. And it's like me speaking to a bus driver, and after I've gone through his accounts, right? He couldn't pay his insurance. But then I said, let us go through the accounts and let us see how you've been doing your accounts. And we went through it, and I said, but wait a while, you're making a ton of money. But where's the money going to? So he said, well, yes, I buy breakfast, I buy lunch, I buy dinner. That is just way too much money. We have to control how we spend our money. So we have to buy our stuff and reduce our expenses. So you can't go and buy breakfast and buy lunch and buy dinner. It means the money that you've made for the day is gone. So we have to manage our finances properly, and there has to be a particular amount of money that you can make. But very, very, very importantly also, one of the things that we're going to do is to ensure that the prices of the tours are regulated, so that the price cutting that currently happens will not be done anymore. Because what happens when you cut the price, everybody else suffers. So when the tour guide should be getting a particular amount of money, because the price of the tour has been cut. For a matter of fact, the prices are so low, the bus drivers don't hire tour guides. So when the tour guide should be getting a job, they don't get a job. I'm a
private individual. My tour guide get 3 times as much as what Sun for Richard or anyone else.
So that's why I'm saying, that's why I'm saying we're going to regulate the prices so persons cannot undercharge. And they will charge the right amount so that everybody gets their fair share of the money. So the tour operator has to get his fair share, the bus driver has to get his fair share, the tour guide has to get his fair share. And when we undercut the prices, tour guides get thrown out, the bus driver gets a very small amount. So the idea, as I'm saying, we've spoken to every single person, every single stakeholder, And what the plan we have is based on all of those. Obviously, I can't give all the information, but you're more than welcome to come and see me, and we can talk. Okay? Please don't say it in patois.
Are going to be free? If not, how are you going to address the high cost of training for tour guides? And I'm speaking on behalf of young people who might see tour guiding as an alternative. When they have to come up with $500 for training, $200 to $300 for first aid plus certification, how are you going to address that to accommodate the young upcoming tour guides?
In terms of that, we will definitely subsidize the course, because it's important enough for us to put these persons in place, and we're going to be needing a significant. We have to subsidize those costs.
Okay, since I'm on the tour guide issue, another thing is that seeing that you're already certified as a tour guide, why do you have to go through the same thing all over again just to renew your certification? And the fact that they are treating it like a license, for example, a driver's license, where you haven't paid your driver's license for 3 years, of course you're going to have to be. Of course, you have to renew it, but because you haven't paid it for 3 years, they're going to take back on the amount of time that you are going to be certified as a tour guide, if you understand what I'm trying to say. If you have a certification for 3 years, because after 3 years, I haven't been back to renew my certification. I may have been out for 2 additional years. So on the 3rd year, when I come back to renew my license, they're taking off that same 2 years from my certification. How are you going to address that?
I'd have to think about that, but maybe similar to the driver's license. If you're like a vehicle license, if your vehicle is down, so if you're not practicing, you could maybe send some kind of letter and it has to be approved. So I'm sure we can work out something on that.
When I Mr. Minister, my question to you: when you travel, right, you out of Dominica, in your mind, when you go to a city, what is the most important thing you look for?
Me?
Yeah, because you travel.
When I travel, I look for all sorts of things.
What do you look for?
I look for all sorts of things.
Okay. You see, the problem I see in Dominica is that when a visitor comes to Dominica, there is a lack of signs and symbols in the town. And a Spanish man comes to Dominica and you have to drive. No international in Dominica because it's a global world. And you have all kind of people coming in Dominica. And I just talk about developing the town. But you said nothing about and signs are very, very, very important.
Yeah. Again, as I said, there's so many things, but the great thing is that because the Ministry of Tourism has engaged all the stakeholders and all the different people, all of these items are in our plan. And if you look, I'm trying to remember where I have it, but if you look at my full budget address and the plan for the Ministry of Tourism, signage is actually in there and is very important. But if you look around Dominica, guess what you see when you look at the signs? What's the first thing you see when you see most of the signs? Yes. Pardon me? Damage from coal wash. You know, so we have to ensure that we also take care of the signs. But that is part of the plan. Okay? But we have to make sure we take care of our signs. And I guess that's where community policing comes in. If you see people damaging what is ours as a country, and if you see people damaging things that are going to help the tourists, we have to either report them or tell them, hey, don't do that. It is ours and it affects us. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Minister. Our next speaker is the Minister with responsibility for trade and renewable energy, and you know that the Valley is the energy hub of Dominica, so I take great pleasure in inviting Honorable Ian Douglas to address you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica. Honorable Dr. Colin McIntyre, Pad Rep for the Roseau Valley. Honorable Robbie Tong, Minister for Tourism and Urban Renewal. other cabinet colleagues, Trafalgar Village Council, and other councillors, former PAL Rep, Mr. Henry George, and evening. It is always a pleasure for me to be here in the Valley. As the immediate past Minister of Tourism, I've been here on a number of occasions dealing with some of those issues, and I'm very happy to be here. I'm always very comfortable in the Roseau Valley, and especially in TR. Good night. The Ministry of Trade, Energy and Employment has the responsibility to devise strategies to boost and develop trade in Dominica. And we see this trade especially in the export of fresh produce as an integral part of our mandate. And so in order to achieve that mandate and to remain competitive on the regional markets, we have ensured that our produce meets, or we have to ensure that our produce meets the standards and requirements of those markets. And so the Bureau of Standards is one of the arms under the Ministry of Trade that has been conducting a number of farm certifications for quality from the farm to the table, be it the Dominican table or the regional table. So we have been developing and devising certain farm certification programs to get our farmers, who are our producers of fresh produce, certified. And not only the farmers themselves, but also their farms must meet those certification requirements, and also their farming practices on their farms. And so in the budget, this year we'll be continuing the development of a national code for good agricultural practices, because we have to meet those standards of those markets. And so the Bureau has been developing certain quality management systems that farmers have to meet. And so quality manuals have been developed, not only for your practice purpose pack houses that we are bringing on stream in Roseau and Portsmouth to accept the produce from the farms. And so we are also putting manuals in place as to how these pack houses are to operate. And we intend to make them operational before the end of the year. And so we have developed a series of training manuals for the manufacturing, not manufacturing, but the multi-purpose pack houses, and to make it ready for export. And towards that end, we also have trained 20 persons as fresh produce inspectors. One, to ensure that we get the quality, and also to create employment. We have trained 20 fresh produce inspectors who will actually inspect the produce on the farms and also inspect them at the multipurpose pack houses to ensure that the fresh produce meet those standards. At the same time, we have secured funds to the tune of $1 million from the European Union to purchase more equipment for labs for the National Center for Testing Excellence up at Stock Farm under the Bureau. And so that will ensure also that our exports of fresh produce meet the market. So we're dealing with it on a number of different levels, and we put in a number of different systems in place to ensure that we get the kind of produce coming into the multipurpose pack houses that we desire. And so to stimulate further growth in the Dominican economy and to collaborate with the agricultural sector in the production of fresh produce, we will and in Roseau. And these two pack houses will provide certified, efficient handling, packaging, and storage facilities for our fresh produce so that we can meet the standards of the markets. We will now be in a position to really implement the Fresh Produce Act, because we had the Fresh Produce Act for a number of years now, but without those other mechanisms in place, we couldn't really implement the Fresh Produce Act. And so we'll ensure that according to the Act, that all fresh produce in Dominica to be exported pass through the pack houses. And also that will curb the whole issue and the prevalence of predial larceny around Dominica, because you would have to be certified and then all of your produce will have to go through the pack houses so that you wouldn't be able to just sell produce to hawkers, vai on the side of the road anymore. We'll be spending more than $3.3 million to operationalize the pack houses. And we have already signed a contract with the supplier of equipment to be placed in the pack houses for that purpose. And two important areas that will complement the operationalization of the pack houses is also the production support program, which Dexia is responsible for. So we're working with the Bureau of Standards on one hand, and we're working with Dexia on the other hand. It's a teamwork, a collaborative approach to ensure that we boost production and work with the agricultural sector also. And so that's... There's another aspect of the program called the marketing support program to actually, when we have the production to the levels at which we want it, we will use the market support program to get the produce of our farmers into the markets both locally and regionally. And so in these programs, we are taking a number of measures. Under the production support program, we have gone ahead and signed the contracts with selected farmers for the production of dasheen, plantains, and hot peppers. We want to establish 200 acres of dasheen, 150 acres of plantain, and 26 acres of hot peppers. And so, because of that, recently, the Prime Minister have the Ministry of Trade to start ordering fertilizer. So now, fertilizer is now available at Dexia in order to supply of fertilizer in Dominica at an affordable price for the farmers. To date, as we speak, we have already established 66 acres of dasheen out of the 200 acres that we want to establish. And we will continue to work with interested farmers to achieve our targets within this budgetary year. The equipment for the pack house is 66 acres of dasheen, 45 acres of plantain, and 10 acres of hot peppers. So there is even more opportunity for new and especially young farmers to get in on the action, to create employment for themselves and to earn revenue in those areas. And so we have already signed contracts for the equipment of the pack houses, and that is being sought as we speak. And like I said, those pack houses will be operational before the end of the year. Imagine in March of this year, in the pack houses, more than 8,000 pounds of dasheen have already been processed for export, although the pack houses are not fully operational. Hucksters are already using the services and processing dasheen, 8,000 pounds of dasheen through the pack houses. We're also spending about $500,000 on the refurbishment of the citrus packing plant in order to boost our citrus exports also. And we want to complement the citrus rehabilitation program of the Ministry of Agriculture, because we believe trade and agriculture must work hand in hand. Agriculture dealing with more of the production aspect of the sale of. Notice much effort of the ministry so far has been concentrating on export, on the export side. However, we also want to concentrate on things like the right of the consumer, and that is also at the forefront of the efforts of the Ministry of Trade. And efforts are being made to get the Consumer Protection Bill to Parliament, and we expect to receive approval of $819,000 from the Caribbean Development Bank to build capacity for the effective consumer protection and fair trade in Dominica. And coincidentally, the Prime Minister is spearheading that effort, because at the first town hall meeting, you heard the Prime Minister speak, actually made a policy statement about the right in full steam ahead with that mandate and that directive from the Honorable Prime Minister. And so grant funds are being made available from our major partner, the European Union, through what is called the Economic Development Partnership, Economic Partnership Agreement, more popularly known as the EPA, between the CARI Forum, which is the CARICOM states, and the European Union. And this year, an amount of $725,000 has been budgeted for that project. So as we explore new markets such as Guadeloupe and Martinique and actually in the European Union, we have been going further and further into issues like the signing of the Economic Partnership Agreement, and government continues to explore avenues to improve access to markets, because that is the key, getting the markets, finding the markets, and figuring out access into those markets for our fresh produce. So in addition, we recognize the increasing attractiveness of the economy to investors require us to reduce the costs and improving the reliability of transportation. So it is one process we look at it as. I have started off by showing you how we want to certify our produce through the Bureau of Standards, then the processing of that produce through Dexia and the multipurpose packing houses, and we come down to transportation so that we can actually get the produce into those markets. So we have that also at the forefront of our mind. And so in support of this initiative, this year, the government has allocated $500,000 towards the purchase of a vessel. In order to take advantage of these export markets, and given the efforts towards the procurement of the vessel, we recognize the need to improve our export performance and our international competitiveness, because those markets are competitive, and we have to ensure that we put our best foot forward and supply the best produce we possibly can so that we continue to enjoy market access in those markets. And so in that regard, this year, we have allocated $329,000 towards that effort. And the project is aimed at improving the capacity of our hucksters and our produce, because our hucksters are the main salespersons in those markets. So we have to bring our hucksters up to standard so that they can actually provide a good service in those markets, and we can gain and increase our market share of our hucksters and also our producers to meet the market access requirements, as well as supporting Dominica Manufacturers Association through training. Our people have to be trained. You heard the Minister of Tourism spoke about it in tourism. We have to do the same thing also in our export of fresh produce out of Dominica. And so the Bureau of Standards have been working with the Dominica Manufacturers Association in providing the training, and also to our brokers and our customs officers. Everybody involved in the value chain must be trained so that the produce that we ship to those markets meet the standards required. This is in trade. We move to the NEP, which is one of the government's flagship initiatives that we have implemented now over the last year and 5 months. And so the National Employment Program to date has 1,499 people, almost 1,500 people. A program that was initially desired to engage about 400 or 500 people has 1,499 people employed as we speak. And some of them in various areas. Some of them have been placed in various jobs where they can learn a skill and they can become marketable. Because although we talk about a lot of people who were unemployed before the National Employment Program, but a lot of them were unemployable because they didn't have a skill. So the on-the-job aspect of the NEP is actually equipping them with a skill so that they can be permanently and sustainably employed. And so the on-the-job training aspect of the program takes that into consideration. Those who have degrees and qualifications have been placed in the new school year in September. And also, we have the community employment component, especially the cleanup and beautification program continues to be a great source of pride for us, the government, and in fact, the people of Dominica. All over Dominica, when you see the kind of work that the persons in our beautification program have been doing, we rarely say we can put our hands together for them. They've been doing a wonderful job around Dominica. And so, in that respect, contrary to what the opposition and the rumor mongers have been pushing, we intend to even expand the program in this year. So we intend to expand the NEP by engaging 30 new graduates at that level. And also we intend to continue to engage our interns all around Dominica. $5 million have been allocated for further investment in those programs. All of the young people in those programs have gained valuable work experience, which is really what the program was meant to do, which increases their ability, like I said, to gain full-time employment. Some of them have even been absorbed into permanent employment with employers whom they have been attached. Some of the employers have been so impressed with the work ethic of our interns that they have roped some of them into their permanent establishments. And so more than 12 million, listen to that, more than $12 million have been invested in the NEP and by extension in the economy by the payment of salaries, by the payment of stipends to our interns all around Dominica. And about 5 million of that 12 million have been spent to pay salaries in the private sector. So not only in the public sector, but also that is our contribution to the private sector, $5 billion. That is monies that would not otherwise have been available to employers to be able to employ the extra employment that the NEP is making available to them. And so in this fiscal year, in this budgetary year, the NEP will expand to create 500 new jobs. And we will work with the Small Business Support Unit to create a new cadre of entrepreneurs in the productive sector. Last year, we trained persons in hospitality, in sewing, in manicure and pedicure, stone cutting and placement, machinery and small engine repair, Kalinago craft, landscaping and construction. Over $1 million was spent to train 200 apprentices, and most of them have already found full-time employment. So this year we are expanding the program to create more skilled persons so that they can develop their small businesses and be self-employed. Self-employed in areas like poultry and pork production, of course for the abattoir. We have beekeeping, plant propagation, carpentry, metalworks, ballista making and interior decorating to support the ongoing housing revolution. And also we will be giving training in boat building and fish pot making to support the fishing subsector and air condition and refrigeration. Of course, the topic that is dear to your heart and really germane to this part of the island, and before I go into it, let me really congratulate the people of the valley for the support and the understanding that you have given to the geothermal development program so far. I really want to congratulate you for that tonight. And so you know, between 2008 and 2012, we concluded the exploration for geothermal energy, and we tested 3 successful wells, one in Wattenhaven, one in Loda, and one in Trafalgar. The production well in Loda is capable of generating between 7 and 10 megawatts of power, and Dominica uses about, let's say, 7 or 8 megawatts of power in peak time. And that 10 megawatts is more than enough to meet our needs in Dominica. And so, a couple of weeks ago, you heard again the propagandists on the radios, on their talk shows, saying that the project was being shut down because equipment was being moved from the Roseau Valley. That equipment belonged to the Iceland Drilling Company, and that was only the drill rigs being moved out of the site because we have finished with the exploration and production phase of the program. And so, the drill rigs have been moved out because we have completed that aspect of the program. And this small geothermal power plant, like the Prime Minister have said in the budget, will be commissioned by 2018 and will reduce our dependence on diesel and should reduce the cost of electricity to the consumers. It will also serve as a pilot project and a demonstration plant for the development of the large geothermal power plant which will come in the future to supply power to Matnik and Guadeloupe later, so that when we do this small plant, it can serve as a demonstration plant, like I said, so we can learn all about the actual generation of electricity, putting it on the grid, how the wells react to commercial exploitation. All of those issues we can study so that when we get to the phase of the development of the large power plant, we would have gained all of the knowledge and expertise necessary to effectively and efficiently execute the program. And so that's one of the reasons for the development of this small power plant. So far, the government of Dominica, the taxpayers of Dominica, have invested over $72 million to date in the geothermal project. And we are in final negotiations with our partners for the development of the small plant. As we speak, we are just about finalizing some minute details of the geothermal power development bill so that it can be taken to Parliament and passed into law. And we are drafting up articles of association for the incorporation of a joint venture company between the Government of Dominica and the French consortium who will be partnering with us on the project. We are also having some positive discussions with Domlec and with their parent company, Imera, because they will be the off-takers of the power. They own the grid, and so we have to be also in sort of partnership with them because the joint venture will actually be selling the power to Domlec, so Domlec can distribute it via their high-tension lines into your homes and your businesses. And so distinct from the two environmental impact assessments which we all have already done for the development stages of the project, the exploratory phases of the project, we are near the completion of an environmental and social baseline study of the entire project area. We want to ensure that we do this thing in keeping with all of the environmental safeguards that we possibly can. And this study will consider all different aspects of the social and physical environment within the geothermal project area. The flora and the fauna, that means the flowers, the crayfish and the dome in the river, the acoustics, the noise levels, the hydraulic studies, how the river will be affected, the assessment of the biological quality of the water, the socio-economic impact of the project in the area, how it will affect you, how you'll be able to take advantage of the various off-spins of the geothermal project, the impact on the landscape, the heritage features within the valley, the possible natural hazards like flooding, seismic activity, volcanic activity, hurricane risk and landslides. All of those things will be looked at in that study. And the study will also consider the various consultations which have gone on with the people already and the various sensitization meetings and your valuable contributions that have been made at those meetings. And even today, we will consider all of those issues and also the various follow-up sessions that will be conducted with the various groups within the region, within the geothermal area, which is your area. And so both the World Bank and the AFD have offered some attractive terms for the next phase of the project. People are excited. Our international partners are excited about what we are doing here in Dominica. They want to come on board. They're offering attractive terms. The Prime Minister met with the President of France in Martinique a couple of weeks ago, and all of our partners are really excited to get on board because they understand the importance of this project, not only nationally, but regionally, and as an example internationally of what this geothermal project can do for us in the region. And so we promise that work will commence in 2016 so that the small plant will be commissioned, will be able to be commissioned by 2018. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, and the floor is now open to questions.
Question to Mr. Douglas. Honorable Douglas. You talked about a while ago about that.
Could you please line up and use the mic to ask your questions? Oh, there's...
You talk about that plant that you're trying to, for boxing plant,
The multi-purpose pack house.
Multi-purpose plant. We have grapefruit in Dominica. We have passion fruit. We have all types of fruits in Dominica. Instead of exporting what we have in Dominica, why not manufacture those things and stop bringing those canned juice that we are selling in the supermarkets to our children? Because the Prime Minister just a while ago put in tax on all what that is for our children. Stiff. I am very pleased. I am very pleased about that. Right. Now you talk about, I would like to come into, do something about it so that we can, instead of going and buy concentrated tamarind juice in Belohan, there is enough tamarind in Dominica to make concentrated juice in Dominica and to feed our children with fruits from our garden instead of buying. Talk about the NEP. I am very glad about the NEP program. But I think some of us are not paid enough for the work that we are doing. Because one working on the road gets $600 for 3 days a week. I can say I work with the NEP and I'm working 20-something days and I'm getting $600. So it don't make any sense. So if it's either, what are you trying to, with the school feeding program, I think we should, and we are getting very, we are very much, I would say that now, problems with the parents. Very much problems with parents. Normally, here in Trafalgar, when the school feeding program came they decided to provide the ground provision besides the staples that the government is giving. The staples are our normal staples. And the parents are not fulfilling their quota. The parents are not. They are not. I can tell you that. Because sometimes when we get what we get from the government and it's finished, we have to be begging. And then sometimes, I'm telling you, I have to take it from my own kitchen to feed the children. And then the parents, once, my back is like a grater for them. Please, I would like you to do something. Yeah. To do something about that. Because we, the parents in Trafalgar, frankly, they are not supportive of that school feeding program. They are not. I can tell you that. We have, let me tell my thing. My question. What is to, after that I will come to that. Lily Valley. You talk about Lily Valley. They have taken out
Okay. Your first point was on we not using our fresh produce. That is why we want to boost production of our fresh produce so that we will have enough of it to supply the local market and also to supply our regional markets. Take, for example, you heard me speak of peppers. That's why we increasing Dexter through the Ministry of Trade has the production support program so that we can actually contract farmers and give them the fertilizer, give them the inputs that they need so that they can boost production. So if that experiment works as successful as we hope it will, then we will go into other areas. Of course, you know that the Ministry of Agriculture has the citrus rehabilitation program where they have supplied thousands of citrus plants to various citrus farmers, citrus growers to boost production in citrus so that we are able to have the volumes supplying the multipurpose pack houses that I speak about. The NEP and the disparity in wages, that is something that we will review, that we will look at, and I will get back to you on that. I think you said that some persons are drawing 600. That is something that we will ask our supervisors to look at and take some action on that. I think you mentioned Lily Valley, but like I said, the only pieces of equipment that have been moved out of the sites are the drilling equipments. The wellheads have been capped so that we can go on to the next phase of the development of the geothermal. That's it.
Yeah, okay. Honorable Douglas, I will be a good mathematician because we have to interact with the question. What I find in Dominica is that both political parties, all your agenda towards agriculture are the same. Because basically, both of all you saying the same thing. Agriculture is the way to go, or you saying plant more, to boost up the production and everything. The point is that if the populace believe in agriculture, both political parties believe in agriculture, then it means that the opposition party and the party in power today should work together to develop agriculture because their agenda are the same. Their agenda are the same. But what we see in Dominica is that while we need negativity to move you forward, but if you overpower in negativity, we have a problem. So basically, when you look at Dominica good, what we actually see is that when you look at the political parties, when you're looking at people supporting the party, basically it's about equal. But when you look at constituents, the Labour Party is the stronger party. So when you have a force, a 50-50 force fighting against each other, what do you have? What is the answer? 50 pulling that way, 50 pulling that way. What you have? Zero. And that is the problem we have in Dominica. While the government pushing forward and say we want to move agriculture forward, you have the opposition and the people that's supposed to be working to push agriculture forward because they're not supporting the government. They don't get involved in planting. So basically what happens to Dominica is that when you decide, okay, for example, you're going to build plant dashing, how many acres of dashing, and common sense will tell you, even if you plant 28 acres of dashing and you plant the whole 28 acres of dashing in 1 month or in 1 year, 1 month, it means that 24 acres of dashing the whole 24 acres going to be ripe at the same time. So it means that you have to ship the whole 24 acres. It means that we have to plant in series as you going down this month, next month, so that you can supply the market outside here. It means that more people in Dominica, all the young people that sit down listening to negativity, not using that energy to move Dominica forward, need to go into the agriculture.
Okay, I don't want to cut you, but the Prime Minister will respond to your issues.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah. What I'm saying is that we need everybody, the opposition members, people that supporting the opposition party, because the agenda, all of us in
I'll tell you the stark difference between this party and the opposition. We are people who are engaged in action. When you just look at the personal level, scared planting something, Cassius Darrow planting something. Reggie Austri has a garden. Dr. Mack has a big garden at Providence. Who else there? Ivor Stevenson has a massive garden. Drygo planting. Peter Sanger planting. When you look at the other guys, nobody is planting. Not even Glory Cedar. So, but when you look at the investments by the government in agriculture and the government's plan of action for agriculture, ours are head and shoulders above what the opposition has been presented. When you hear them speak, it's about criticizing. They have not supported one initiative the government has implemented in this country. Not one. Not one. Not even the new hospital they're supporting. Not even the abattoir they're supporting. They've criticized the construction of the coffee plant. So I don't agree with you to say that our programs are the same. There is a vast difference in terms of our approach to agriculture. Look at the abattoir, for example. We have a massive, we're importing 7.4 million pounds of chicken parts in the country every year. You do the math and you understand how much money we are repatriating. We're sending out of Dominica to places like the United States that are richer than us and to the fifth largest economy of the world to Brazil. What we have been seeking to do with the abattoir is to have a facility that meets international standards, for example, that meets all the phytosanitary conditions, where where you can slaughter the pork and the poultry and the chicken, and seek to take advantage of the domestic market. There's a huge market. There's a huge market where we can keep our monies in there in Dominica, and to create jobs and to create a better way of life for our people. Because let us understand it, the local chicken is much better in taste and quality than the imported chicken. But when you, so that we invest in, we've invested over $10 million in the abattoir. Okay? And in the budget, you have another $4 million that will go towards assisting farmers, those who are already in the business and those who intend to get in the business, to get them to the level of the trade. Now, the agriculture has always been reduced to partisan politics, unfortunately. And therefore, we do not speak about it on a national level. I understand the point you're making. I don't agree with the approach that you're taking with it. But I agree with the point you're making in respect to where we want to get to in respect to your point. But I don't agree with the arguments you're using to get to your point and so on. There's a vast difference between ourselves and the opposition. You look at our manifesto, look at the investments we've made in agriculture. But it is the first part in government that has ever used local funds to invest in agriculture. Our investment in agriculture has always been decided by funds coming from the European Union. Always been, especially in bananas and so forth. We've also increased in the technology in the farms. Back in the days, yams were seasonal. Now you can get yams year-round in Dominica. Year-round in Dominica. I can say to you, my friends, that there is money to be made in agriculture. What we have to address is the high cost of labor. You have people come to work for you. If you get 1 hour from them, you get plenty. We have to change our attitude towards on the farm because we can't compete. That a man comes because $50 for 7 to 11 is a lot of money to pay somebody. But you sometimes, most times, and I speak to farmers, most times you just cannot get consistent labor. We had the Haitians, now the Haitians we spoil the Haitians and so forth. So most of them behave like us in terms of our attitude towards work on the farm. But if we can address the issue of farm labor, you understand, domestically, I believe we can even take greater advantage of the huge domestic market available, but also the huge export market available in agriculture. So when you look at the manifesto, and it speaks to a number of interventions. Coffee, my friend here spoke about agro-processing. That's part of the program. But the government itself cannot get involved in every aspect of the country's development. It is here an opportunity for the private sector to come forward and say, look, let us go into agro-processing. And I'm saying to an investor that the government is prepared to provide you with all of the incentives you require to invest in agro processing in Dominica, because the government really should stay away from getting involved in the private sector as far as practically possible. So with the coffee plant that has been financed by the government of Venezuela, and which will soon come into operation, the whole idea is to add value to what we have. So as it is now, we do not have sufficient coffee beans in Dominica, but we are rehabilitating the farms, and we are also targeting some, I believe, some 80 or so acres in this financial year to plant some new coffee acreages and so forth. And there's interest. There's money to be made in agriculture, and I'm encouraging young people in particular, young men and women, to get on board with the agricultural program, because it's important. We have to feed ourselves, and we have to feed the population and also the export market and bring the foreign exchange to help create jobs. So we can spend maybe, you and I can be sometime, comrade, but we can spend a whole night talking about our investment in agriculture and the gains that we have made. But of course, you are confronted with diseases and pests. And we've been confronting black sigatoka. We've been confronting the greening of the citrus. So it is a constant battle with the but I don't agree with you on national support. The Labour Party has about 62% of support in Dominica. So it is not 50-50.
The point I was making is that, the point I was trying to make, where I was getting is to say that at the end of the day, just imagine if everybody were basically were national oriented people.
I know that's where you want to get to. That's why I said, yeah.
What would happen to
We
Dominica?
all have to be positive.
Yeah.
Positive thinking.
Beautiful and
That's
nice
right.
place
I
to
agree
live.
with you.
And
I agree with your conclusion.
When your government pool 50%, when your government pool like that, just imagine you have to carry these people with you, the weight you have.
That's
and
right.
For you to be able to do all what you're doing now. I want to
Your conclusion is just the same as my conclusion in the budget address. Well, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My question is directed to the Minister of Tourism and the Minister of Trade. I must commend the government on their emphasis on agriculture in this budget. And my question is, what plans do you have to ensure that our fresh produce gets onto the cruise ships?
With regards to the cruise ships, we've been having discussions with them, and we're actually pushing so that the cruise ships can begin to purchase more of the fresh vegetables from us in Dominica. But again, as I said, the standards, we have to ensure that the standards are consistent, and hopefully the pack houses will actually help with being able to produce more in the quantities that they want. But we've actually started speaking with them, and I guess those persons who provide that service should maybe begin speaking with us so we can help work on that. And not just the cruise ship, even the what do you call it, even the ferry. A lot of times you go on the ferry and you see all different types of water. We have to try and ensure that our water is part of those things that we're beginning to sell.
Okay, I asked this question because I operate a ship chandler service, and I've been selling to the cruise ships for over 15 years.
Okay.
And we have never been able to meet our quota as to fruits and vegetables for the cruise ships. I have tried and tried and tried, and now I'm asking for the help of the government. It's a collaborative effort to be able to sell to the cruise ships. Because I am elated with the fact that we have certification, and because yes, they did buy, but I think, in this global village, we need to be certified also.
No, that's very true.
Asking for help, in that aspect.
Sure. I think the government will be more than happy to assist in that area. And as I said, even in speaking of the cruise ships, what they're also trying to do, remember, they try to get the best value for money. So they're actually going to try. What you're finding, most of the cruise ships are even, they all, or let's put it this way, Carnival Cruise Lines owns, I think, 60% of all the different vessels. So you can really imagine when they want to buy from you, they're going to be wanting specific quantities, and I think that's where the issue comes about. You may have difficulties in terms of getting the proper amounts, but that's what I'm saying. With the respective pack houses in place, once the trials are done, then you can maybe start saying, hey, let's look at the specific items that they require and see how we can provide them with the quantities that we require.
Because over the years, the most we got were filler orders, and their filler orders would be something like 500 kilos of tomatoes, and we were never able to supply that at one time, you know. And well, bananas, they buy bananas constantly. I supplied Carnival Cruise Lines over 7 years with bananas until the stocks come to Dominica. Every week we would supply anything between 40 and 70 cases.
Okay.
Last cruise season we were not able to supply the cruise ships because of the Black Sea Batuka. And that's why I'm so excited about the government replanting scheme, you know.
Sure. Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much for your questions, but we have to move on now. And and economic development, your own Dr. John Colin McIntyre, who I now invite to address you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ambassador Lambert, let me recognize the presence of our Prime Minister, my very good friend, of course, Honorable Ian Douglas, the Minister of Trade, Employment, Honorable Robert Tong, Minister of Tourism, of course, our cabinet colleagues, Trafalgar, Fokani Shefford Village Council, Permanent Secretaries present here tonight with us, Ambassador Farrell, who is a Cabinet Secretary, the former PAL rep, Mr. Henry George, our vendors, our villagers, the media, our young lady who sang beautifully for us, and of course, Miss John and Mrs. O'Brien, who really prayed strong for us here and got rid of all the spirits that probably looked around trying to mess with our night tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, well-wishers, I welcome you here in the Roseau Valley as the parliamentary representative of the valley. I take great pride in welcoming you to this valley, and more specifically, the lovely village of Trafalgar. The Roseau Valley is home to the Trafalgar Falls, the freshwater lakes, the Boiling Lake, the Middleham Falls, the geothermal and hydroelectricity power plants, the Sulphur River tours, your sulphur spas and pools, exquisite cuisine, guest houses, and Titu Gorge, just to name a few. Interestingly, TripAdvisor in 1994 recognized Titu Gorge as the #4 exotic destination worldwide for travelers and tourists. And just to add to it, Titu Gorge is going to be one of our paying sites, and the crowds from the cruise ships have increased there tremendously, so it's going to be a serious site. The Roseau Valley constituency stands out as a strong tourism belt, agricultural belt, health and wellness belt, and energy belt for Dominica. The people of the Roseau Valley have and will continue to contribute to the transformation of the Dominican economy. Your government recognizes this will continue to undertake several meaningful projects in the Roseau Valley. In his 2014 budget address, the Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit, Prime Minister of the Commonwealth of Dominica, made a public commitment to work towards expanding the Dominican economy. Many efforts were put forward in projects, plans, and programs, which resulted in 3.4% growth of the economy. This was higher than the ECCU projections of 2.3%. This growth was not about words. This is about pure action. It was the result of action, direct, serious action, initiatives undertaken by the Labour Party administration to stimulate developments and expansion in various sectors. My friends, in the face of a dismal global financial situation and crumbling of many large economies, your government displayed strong, responsible, and visionary leadership to safeguard this country and helped it overcome many, many difficulties. The 2015-2016 budget highlights government's commitment to keeping it real. How will we keep it real, you ask? We'll keep the needs and wishes of our people real. We will help keep their dreams and aspirations for a better life and a better Dominica very real. We'll keep the goals and tasks before us extremely real. We'll keep the framework for sectoral and national growth and development real. We'll keep our relationships with the private sector real. We'll keep our commitment to our donors and partners real. We will keep the transformation of the economy extremely real and will maintain fiscal health. We'll keep our limitations and challenges real. And we will keep the expectations of our people and the international community real. We'll seek to help every stakeholder, every Dominican citizen realize that we cannot do it alone. But through the collective efforts of all, we can shape a Dominica that we can all be extremely proud of. Brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we truly mean by keeping it real. The Labour Party government over the past years have proposed a policy of inclusion. We'll include with consideration your thoughts, ideas, and wisdom on how we can continue to better what we are doing. That's why, friends, that's why we are keeping it real. This year in particular, we ensured that special attention was given to allocating the budget to priority growth sectors and subsectors. We have also been mindful that some projects started in 2014 to 2015 needed to be brought to the completion, so we prioritized these projects. We hear the call from much more, and much more is needed, and indeed, for everything to be placed on the budget. However, in keeping it real, we must realize that not everything can and need to be done in 1 year. The aim of this government is to focus on the area of selected areas of growth and to optimize it. Brothers and sisters, permit me to enumerate some of a few of the projects on the card for this 2015-2016 budget. And we speak here first of the rehabilitation of the Stockfan Road. Just recently, I'm sure most of you are aware of the fact that we have built the Dominica State College, a beautiful building. And I'm very proud here tonight in Trafalgar and in the Roseau Valley, but in particular Trafalgar, we have 27 students going to the college. And I've always preached the fact that education is critical. Sometimes I've always said that I sound like a stuck record, but the students of the Roseau Valley, young people, and the parents, I want to commend you even more for that, because every time I would come here, thank you very much, that's so important to me. Every time I'd come to Trafalgar and the Roseau Valley, I kept talking about education. When I hear of 27 young students benefiting from going to school at the college and taking advantage of the opportunities that we have created there, I think it's a great, great move. We also have in excess of 47 students that we transport to high school in Roseau. So we, the government, we are embarking on a program of investing $2.4 million in the college road to really, dress that college. The college is beautiful and we want to have a lovely highway going to it. So that's one of the programs we're looking at. Of course, we look at bridges around Dominica, and of course, you heard the minister speak about the bridge going out of town there. And of course, this is something that we're going to invest upon. The street lighting program will continue along with that. There's $1 million for that. The feeder roads under the BAM. We have about $12 million earmarked under the BAM project. And we're targeting about 9 feeder roads. Of course, recently, and as the Prime Minister said, the difference between this government is we put our mouth where our money is in terms of action. So we have $12 million carried under the BAM, which is a European European Union project, and this $12 million will go towards the feeder roads for agriculture in Dominica, as well as the fact that we may stand to benefit more in terms of adding more to this number based on some other programs in terms of getting additional money. The Wharton Waven to Copthall Road, this is very, very important for us. The Wharton Waven to Copthall Road, it's a serious project. The first phase, we have placed $2.5 million. And this road will start from the Copthall Bridge right up to Wharton Waven. And the plan here is to start from the Wharton Waven end and the Copthall end. And what we want to do here is look at the, using our local resources. We know the valley is a very wet area. So the plan here is to use most of the, the Solomon type material, the Tarish type material, which has a good binding agent with cement, of course, under proper, engineering techniques to really put on some serious roads in the Roseau Valley using concrete, especially in the Wharton Road. So this is another project that is carried for in this year, this 2015-2016 budget. The Pocasset to Point Millard Road, another serious road. And I mean, some of us who travel to the east, very, very vulnerable recently. Just from one little shake, and in Dominica, we are volcanic. We go through little shakes here and there in terms of little tremors, but not everyone we feel. But if you have a hard pan under there and you have loose soil, it loosens the soil. So we have a lot of edge failures. And we have decided to pledge $10.6 million to our roads in the east. Critical for us. We must do it. The Minister of Trade spoke in reference to all these projects. There's no need for going through his project, but I also want to just stress on one point here, is a question that was raised earlier on in terms of the cruise ships and our produce. And with the addition of the pack houses, what's going to happen here is you're going to have certification, you're going to have sorting, you're going to have packaging and proper grading under the Fresh Produce Act. So you'll have boxes of fresh produce. Instead of the cruise ships having to come and see, well, a heap of dashing, a heap of oranges, you'll have boxes well labeled so they can come to the pack houses and purchase. It's going to make it much easier, and it's going to enhance our trade in terms of the cruise ship. But that question was an excellent question in terms of opportunities for us. The NEP under the Ministry of Trade, critical for us. In Trafalgar alone, the Roseau Valley, we have 188 persons employed under the NEP. 188. Out of that, we have 38 recorded in Trafalgar, but I can assure you it's a little more than that because I did the concrete. When you mentioned about the disparity here, I'm quite aware of it and we're working on that. In terms of the apprenticeship program, another question was raised here, and we have placed another $500,000 for the apprenticeship program. And when the question came up in terms of the tour guides, I thought that we could use the tour guides to partner with us in the Ministry of Trade under the apprenticeship program, whereby we can train them and we can subsidize the price to them. So that's an excellent question. I think it can be done right here under an additional $500,000. The geothermal initiative, I won't say much on that other than I support it fully, and I really want to say to our folks of the Roseau Valley, especially those constructive thinkers, thanks for the cooperation, thanks for seeing the vision, thanks for seeing the light in terms of moving forward. The Roseau Valley, in particular Trafalgar, Wharton, Loda, we are the energy nerve of Dominica. Hydroelectricity, now geothermal energy coming. So feel blessed and feel proud to be generating the lights for Dominica. Agriculture, support to horticulture, we have $500,000 here. And what we're going to do here basically is look at your fertilizers, your planting material for the areas that we are strong in agriculture. The valley, as we know, Mount Prosper is extremely strong in the Berlin area, but we still do our agriculture in Trafalgar, in the Roseau Valley, in the Cochrane area. So we'll benefit from programs like that. We're looking at another $200,000 for cocoa rehabilitation to expand the plots. And of course, in terms of the abattoir, the pork and poultry development program, we're looking at a very, very serious program. And we've been pushing the program whereby we should eat what we grow and we should consume local. And I want to say to our people here that we are seeing an increase in the number of cases of, especially our women and men too, in terms of, little breast issues, cervical problems, or little problems with our prostate as we continue to get older. Long ago, we were able to, under the banana days, we were able to use quite a bit of the agrochemicals. We have gone a lot away from that now, and I think we are benefiting from it. But what I want to urge you and make you understand that most of this, the chicken we import is poor quality chicken. Very, very poor quality. As a matter of fact, the meat quality is based on chilled meat. That's healthy meat. But when you have excess meat in the US and these places, what they do is the excess meat, they have to freeze it. Because their industry is based on certain parts. And the excess parts they have, they're going to use, they're going to send them to us. And sometimes you get chicken as old as 9 years, 15 years, That's what we're consuming. Loaded with hormones as well too, and antibiotics. I want to say to you that the feed we purchase out of the region is void of hormones and antibiotics. So we have to start consuming local. And our ladies in particular, I find too many of our ladies are coming on with problems where I've never seen that before. The mammary glands are just creating problems for our ladies, and we have to stop that. We have to stop that. So I'm urging our people here, we have invested and we have placed $4 million. I try to use the term so, the breast song's a little crude. No, yeah. So we're looking at about $4 million in terms to lend to our farmers in Dominica. And we're talking both in terms of support to the pork and poultry program in terms of rearing it for the abattoir. And another $2.5 million. This is going to take us to $6.5 million for this project. The 2.5 will go towards completing the structure. Not the processing plant aspect, but some little things we have to do to the structure. Okay. Now, the black sigatoka. A lot was mentioned about it. Long ago, we produced quite a bit of bananas in the Rosa Valley. But I want to say to you that we have done a lot for black sigatoka as a government. I mean, we don't just speak of it. We are investing another $2.8 million in that, in controlling black sigatoka. Black sigatoka has devastated our banana industry. And during the rainy season, it becomes worse. But we will not stop fighting black sigatoka because the market for green bananas still exists, and ripe bananas, as well as in terms of creating, a food source on that plate for us to eat. So we will put another $2.8 million in terms of, black sigatoka management. Of course, the Rosa Valley is very strong in the trails. There's about $245,000. We know of Loda and these areas where we build our trails, the Midland trails, coming from Cochrane as well too. We're looking at another $1.1 million in terms of improvement of genetic material. And what we want to do here is improve on the breeds using various techniques. Not necessarily all the time looking at natural mating, but areas like, say, embryo transfer and, artificial insemination. And, it's much easier that way because you can keep a larger pool in terms of the genetic pool that you can use to, inseminate your animals with, rather than keeping a boar, bull, and this is costly to do that. So we're looking at modernizing and improving there. We have $1.1 million for that. Under the banana stabilization as well too, many of you may not be aware of that, but we have imported into this country, introduced for about 40,000 plantlets. And of course, for each 20,000 plantlets we receive out of France in terms of rehabilitating the banana industry, which we put in another $1.1 million, we got what you call an 8% bonus. It took us to just under 3,200 extra plants. And this is targeting a lot of our banana farmers in Dominica. And the aim here is to improve on the banana program in Dominica. And of course, for those of us who want to carry out our, say, backyard program, at the end of this program, towards the latter part of it, we want to bring in resistant varieties that we can use in terms of our backyard operation, so we don't help in spreading black sigatoka. But the commercial aspect of banana production is highly based on what the market demands, and the market demands the varieties that are still prone to black sigatoka. But we've improved programs in terms of good agricultural practices, in terms of how we feed our plants, and in terms of how we manage our plant, in terms of keeping our fields clean. We have seen a serious increase. And what we want to do, the market is large, both eventually is to get back international with the banana program. So we have not stopped on that. Pineapple expansion, important to know that. We put another just under $500,000. And what we're trying to do in pineapples in Dominica is we have very, very sweet varieties. They're eating varieties. But if we have to look at taking it one step further in terms of juice and canning, we have to bring in those with, in terms of their sugar content. That's not very, we need the sweetness, of course, don't misunderstand me. But we need to bring in different varieties in terms of texture and the level of sugar that we can can and process. So we are bringing in under the BAM, using another $500,000, 40,000 plants so we can introduce into our farmers here. This was purely a request of our farmers, the pineapple farmers, and that's what we're doing here. The grant funding for youth and agro-processors, $1.132 million. And what we're trying to do here is to partner with our college, build the capacity at the college, get equipment, the tools, and start introducing our young students to agro-processing, where we can come and we can say we can take 5 from One Prosper, 5 from Cochrane, 5 from Trafalgar, 5 from anywhere in Dominica. Just calling the valley because there's the folks here with us tonight. And we can say to them, go to the college. You go to the college and we say to them, here is a breadfruit, here is a dash-in. And say there are 20 young persons here. Each of you add some value to that. And what you're going to see here is you're going to get young people, their minds are very creative. And instead of taking them, and trying to shove things down their throat, let them use their creativity to bring out produce and at the same time products. And at the same time, we can use our other students in terms of packaging, labeling, and we can look at manufacturing and value added so we can push this country forward. So the government this year, under the ban, we are injecting $1.132 million to build capacity at the college to really help in save agro-processing and adding value. We are also looking at rehabilitation of our agricultural stations. We're looking at about just over $500,000 for that, looking at the stations. Very important for a lot of the agricultural areas. Of course, much was said about coffee expansion. In terms of the coffee plant we have there, state-of-the-art, brand new, lots of coffee there. Dominica is just at the same level with Jamaican blue coffee. Jamaican Blue Mountain coffee. And I want to say to you that we produce a good coffee here. So the plan here, or Prime Minister spoke about it, is to add value and expand the acreages under a special program, because coffee is something that we'll all take a little bit of in the morning to keep us abreast, you know. Now, Silver Lake, I'm sure a lot of you all go down to Silver Lake on the way to town to work. We see the buildings coming up there. The first set of apartments were built, and we see a second one being built. And then we're looking at just about $250,000 investment into housing for our folks down there. And the aim here of this government, this government is interested in raising the value of people, their quality of life. And that's what we're trying to do in terms of the Silver Lake area, transforming the people there. So we'll inject another $250,000 there. Of course, our housing renovation and sanitation, I mean, most of our folks in the Roseau Valley and throughout Dominica have been benefiting from that. There's a $2 million in there for that. Those of us, you have always heard our Prime Minister speak about, you know, the older folks having to struggle with this, things going to an outdoor latrine in the night under rain and thunder. No, this government cares a lot, so we are continuing to invest heavily in that. Of course, the low-income houses, there's another $5 million there for that in terms of, you know, low-cost housing for our people. That's across Dominica. And of course, I'm sure most of you are aware of the fact that we are building quite a bit of a few water tanks around this country here in terms of taking water. Yes, we have plenty of water, but we want to distribute the water. That's critical, and treat it. So we invest in another $4.1 million in water. Health, we are very close to Roseau, we're very close to Goodwill, and your government. We have looked at building a new hospital, and this is on the cards, and we're going to move with that. We have pledged $10.5 million towards the new hospital. We are pledging another 2.0. That is not the cost of the hospital. The cost of the hospital comes from a gift from the people and the government of China. But in terms of counterpart and getting the place ready for the construction of the new hospital, the government has placed in the budget $10.5 million. And of course, we are looking also to add the hospital equipment, which is another $2 million, because from time to time, in spite of the fact that we're building the new hospital, we need to continue to upgrade our equipment at the hospital and look at new ways of diagnosis and what diagnostics. The Minister of Tourism spoke quite eloquently on tourism sites, so there's no need for that. But just, I must say, I'm very impressed with the interest of the people of the Roseau Valley. And for me, the Roseau Valley is really the most concentrated spot in the area in Dominica, where you have so many different, sites. And I want us to protect our sites. Let's take advantage of the opportunities, and let's try to look at the service industry that goes towards the sites. Reason why I say so, we have changed a lot, and Dominica, more and more, the service industry is kicking into gear, and we have to take advantage of it. So we have to train ourselves. We cannot expose our visitors to just what we want to. Not at all. We have to understand what's happening. We have to be, I must say, Dominicans are considered as very courteous and hospitable people. So it's just a matter of tweaking it and bringing it to that 5-star level, and for us to take advantage of it. Because the government will stand with you in terms of investment, but we want that service to be out there in terms of, a 5-star type of service. In youth, sports, and culture, in terms of the national budget, we're looking at the national, the Windsor Park Stadium. And it's a lovely stadium. It was a gift, but we have to maintain it. So we have placed another just under $5,452,000 just to rehabilitate and to do some repairs to it. I'm sure we'd like to see a lovely roof to maintain it and to keep there, because it's Dominicans pride themselves in going to their stadium to sit down to look at the cricket games, and more recently football and the Creole Festival. So we have a good product there, but we have to maintain it, and this is why your government has placed just under $500,000 for the upkeep of that stadium. The Wharton Waven playing field. We have come a long way. I remember the days of playing football in Wharton Waven on two little hills, though I scored a lot of goals there. But I thought it was important that we placed under $200,000 to really bring that field to a certain level where we can have some first-class game. Because our folks from Wharton Waven, they're playing a very, very serious role in terms of building the whole sports program in Dominica, and they're feeling it to come up to the standard of some of the other fields in the Roseau Valley. Lighting of playing fields, we have $3.5 million there, and I must say to our Trafalgar folks, you're one of the fields considered for benefiting under this program. So Trafalgar will benefit from this one as well too. Of course, under this, we have the Stock Farm Indoor Sporting Facility, which for mobilization, we have placed $500,000, which will move towards in that. Now, in terms of the small business development, the Valley has benefited tremendously from the small business program, and we have placed an additional $3.3 million in there for small business development. And I urge our Valley folks, I know some time ago I was a minister of that area, and we enjoyed quite a bit of it, but I would like you all to, I mean, the folks of the Valley were they're entrepreneurs, you know, so a lot of applications came in. But I want to urge you to continue to apply, because the Government of Dominica will not stop the small business program, but we want it to be targeted and geared towards real production so it can be sustainable. So I ask you to take advantage of it, but bear in mind it has to be in a sustainable style. Right. Education, of course, the Dominica, the GGS, new classroom, another $4.1 million. And of course, Thibault, $1.6 million, and the Newton Primary nearing completion, another $1.8 million. As you would have noticed from my brief summary of some of the major projects in this year's budget, much attention will be placed to rehabilitating the Wharton Waven Copthall Road, where we have said $2.5 million has been allocated for this purpose. Farmers are being encouraged and will receive support for the investment in the expanded pork and poultry project to improve the supply of meats locally and horticultural farming for local consumption and exports. Small entrepreneurs in the Valley can expect to receive support for small business initiatives, development generally on the communities of the Valley. Ladies and gentlemen, your government continues to provide support for the students of the Roseau Valley in pursuing early childhood, primary, secondary, and tertiary education, and we will do so in this new fiscal period. Over the last few months, my ministry, along with the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Agriculture, have been in discussion with the business representatives from Matnik. There's a growing interest to engage Dominica to export of produce, including dashings, yams, potatoes, and many other small products on a regular basis to Matnik. This will produce an excellent and new avenue for farmers and manufacturers to gain access to the market. We encourage you, the people of Trafalgar, to keep abreast of many of the projects and developments in tourism through the significant increase in capital budget allocation from 2.92 in 2014-2015 to 13.53% in 2015 to 2016. I refer to areas like the additional incentives offered under the Hotel Aids Act. Those involve the accommodation sector. Jobs will be created under the Roseau Enhancement Program, and I'm sure you're aware of the fact that we are building North Bridge, as the minister has explained, and we're moving towards building the North Wall. We're moving towards building the South Wall as well. The Roseau is very close to us. As a matter of fact, we're just an extension of Roseau. That's why we're called the Roseau Valley. So there'll be job opportunities for people down there as well. Of course, we're looking at the renovation of the sidewalks in terms of the projects. The minister spoke of the enhancement of some of the tourism sites right here in the Roseau Valley. Of course, the question came upon signage, and there's an area there where we want to look at signage. But as the Prime Minister has mentioned, and the Minister, we have to take care of the signs. Sometimes you visit down there, some lovely signs there, but a lot of cool wash on those signs. And it's not fair. It's like you're trying to knock somebody out on the sign. I don't know what's going on here. The hotel and villa condominium projects under the CBI, which is the Citizen by Investment Program, a program that this government has engaged in, we're looking at a number of projects. We're looking at the Range project, which is a brand project on the Kepinski. And we're looking at the areas in terms of Portsmouth to extend. We have projects in the south, the Back-Outlet project. We have projects in Salisbury. But Dominica is a hotbed right now, and it has to be done right. Our stage of development is ideal for us. And you have the right government in charge of this country right now. And we have to make sure, we are making sure that it is done properly. We're not here talking about programs that we're not sure of. And we want to make sure that we understand what's happening, so we know what we're talking about. We have an ideal opportunity. We're going to do it correct. And once we get off, and we are getting off right now, Dominica will be a better place under the leadership of my dear friend Roosevelt Skerritt and the Dominica Labour Party. In the area of housing, sanitation, health, which we spoke a lot about, and whatnot. And my friends, you know I will continue to focus all my energy on bringing sustainable development to Trafalgar and the Roseau Valley constituency. This government, under the leadership of my good friend, the Honorable Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt, has never failed to give support to projects in this constituency. As a matter of fact, this is the only Prime Minister who has really traversed and, taken himself throughout the Roseau Valley. Sometimes not even with me. Meaning, he'd go around the Rosa Valley, you see certain things, and he pointed to me, but Doc, what are we doing about that? So he goes around the Rosa Valley, checks out certain things, and, sees it. He owns the valley. So I must say, I'm not alone in this program, and I must say, you're blessed to have your pal rep and to have a good friend in the Prime Minister. Now, before I close, I want to mention some of the other projects in the Rosa Valley. And we speak here in Mount Prosper. We are looking at completing a bridge over River Bridge, the over River Road. We want to put in a bridge there to help our farmers. We have some farmers farming on top of the area there. It was very difficult for them one time in life where they used wheelbarrows, the four-wheel drive trying to get up a road. Imagine a wheelbarrow, a four-wheel drive wheelbarrow. And it was hard for them. So we're going to put a bridge there. We spoke about the Wharton-Waven Road, and of course our residents in Coptall, Wharton-Waven, they will benefit from it. Wharton-Waven is alive throughout the day, but at nights as well too, because a lot of the activities in the Rosa Valley, especially in Wharton-Waven, use a lot of what is very important for what you call your musculoskeletal issues in terms of hydrotherapy, which is used a lot up there. I'm talking about bones and muscles. And people go out there to relax in the warm water and, get their blood flowing properly. So we want to make sure we have a state-of-the-art road to take our people in comfort up there. In Fokane, first time in its history since after the landslide of Montfort, we built a lovely village road. And Poco Poco, we continue to do little parts of it, drainage and the entrance to people's homes. So I'm very, very happy under the constituency appointment program that we've been able to do quite a work in the Fokane area. And I'm thankful for that. In Loda, very serious village in the Rosa Valley. We understand that. And we have just completed the second half of the village road, taking us down to the church. And we have fixed up in front of the church lovely. And the aim is to build a lovely road, continue road, to the cemetery. So when we escort our dear friends to the great beyond, we can do it with pride. That's the plan here. In Cochrane, critical area for us. Lovely people in Cochrane. My friend is here with us tonight. The plan is on the Cochrane Road, we have a number of edge failures. And we want to, under the recurrent budget this year, we want to target a lot of the edge failures in Cochrane. And I must say thank you to my brother here. We look like Mr. Honorable Ian Pinard, who has given us a first good start in Cochrane with surfacing of that road, something we have never seen for the last 15 years plus. And the only government to really put some serious foundation on that road, and the minister has assured me and the Prime Minister that we will complete the road in Cochrane as promised during the last campaign. Trafalgar or Lily Valley program will continue, and the question was raised by Mr. Gregory, I don't know if he's here, as to we are fed up coming into this building. And I must say tonight I was very impressed to see the building, how it was well decorated. I must say thanks to the village council for doing a very, very good job. When I got there, I said, wow, it looked like we could remain here for a while. But I said, no. When I say for a while, meaning that we could have a few more meetings here, which is ideal. So they did a good job. But I must say, the long-awaited resource center, we have gone through the last hurdle. And the last hurdle, when I came to you last time, just before, when we had the Fed Kaichi opening, I mentioned about the Josephine paper in cabinet, where we spoke about that's the only hold-up to the lands down there where we plan to put the community center. Is it what referred to as, I call it the Josephine paper, where we had to compensate the people for acquiring their land. So cabinet has finally approved that. I think some last week or 10 days ago, it was approved. So the green light is there full ahead to our people of Trafalgar to say to you that your plans have been approved by planning. You have a pledge from the Prime Minister of 150,000. It's not going to cost that, but he has said that he will fund the resource center. So you have the plans approved by planning. The cabinet has cleared everything. You've acquired your land, so we're ready to roll right now. And I'm hoping that we can, I'm going to see to it that we move forward and really end the days of this building, which has served us well. But I think what I'm about to take you into will be something for the future, a magnificent piece of architecture. Okay, needless to say, I could go on and on to tonight, but in the best interest of time, I must wrap up my address on the 2015-2016 budget. I wish to reassure you that your government will continue to take bold initiatives in the face of limited resources and collapse of major international economies. The budget is focused on our national development plan, medium-term strategic framework. So in closing, I encourage each one of us, each one of you here, and us, of course, to begin serious thinking of how you can contribute to sustain growth of our beautiful nature isle. Thank you. May God continue to bless you all as we work together to develop our isle, our beauty. One love.
Thank you, Dr. Mark. And now we will have our final round of questions before the Prime Minister wraps up.
Good night, everybody. From Copton. Let me say thanks to the government for providing us with pipe-borne water, street lights. They have assisted many individuals with education and health, including me. However, I think our major problem in Copton, I hope that will be addressed, that the roads will come with proper drain and sidewalk. Right, thank you very much. One of the things now, I'd like to make a request to Mr. Reggie. There's some land, about an acre of land around the Copton Junction, Copton Fokani, Louisville Junction there. And I think some of that land need to be set aside. We are not asking for a community center next week or next year. But there's a land there, and I hope Mr. Reggie can secure some of those land, put it aside for us, for our future community, or community center, which I think could serve Copton, Louisville, and Fokani. There is a good relationship among those communities that exist. Now, Silver Lake is a little far. They're more linked with Bath Estate right now. So at present, our young people from Copton, they share the playing field with Louisville. So there's no need, let us say, to make a demand for playing field. We have never got the land really available, but that other side there can be used for both communities. Thank you.
Mr. Torres Minister, I just would like to clear the air a bit with you. You mentioned something in your speech concerning the bus driver or the taxi driver. You were counseling about his finance, but I think probably he's not telling you the truth. And I would like, why I'm saying that, I provide it for them. So you are treading on my territory when you tell him that he's spending for food. I don't think he's giving you the detail, the real detail, because that cannot take all his money. The point is, some of them have to be done at the port very early. They do say that 4 o'clock, and then you have to be there. You know, they have to be screaming. So it's a task before they can reach to our point. And when they reach there, they want to get something. Now, I do local drinks because when I saw everybody have the same Chinese stuff, sales not up, I asked God, what should I do to earn a living? And so he gave me the idea to diversify, do local drinks. So I do my ginger beer, which I get thumbs up for, especially from the Chinese people and English people, and, you know, other local drinks. So you are stepping on my territory. When you advise him next time, tell them to say the truth. Okay.
I am not a lawyer. I am not a doctor. I don't have what they call a patient confidentiality clause. But again, I can't expose the bus driver. But obviously, we know the bus drivers very well, and there's another expense that they have that I can't disclose.
They must buy some. Well, for dinner, they can go home and make dinner. Okay. But they do leave early to come to town. They do leave early. Okay, that is not really why I'm, but I just want to clear the air, because that's my living. We spoke about the valley. Most people there, they are from the valley. Now I'm going to give you a little work, a little homework. On your way down, when you reach at the head of Bath Estate, you will see 5 cans, 5 drums, either 5 or 4. It's a little while now. The stones they put in them seems very heavy, so they have not thrown them below. But I want you all to look at that and see that it is very dangerous. Every time I hear about, thank God we have not been having a lot of rain. But even right now, they say there is a storm we have to be looking at. And there is the water comes from on top. To me, I find nobody here, no bus driver, nobody never mentioned. That is very dangerous. When we are coming down, we're supposed to give right of way to the vehicle coming up, and they don't want to stop. With passengers, and they're driving fast, so it's like a clash almost there. I would really like you all to have a look. I don't know how you all can see it really tonight, but it is a big concern. It is a big concern to me. And another thing you have, we spoke about another building for we say Fly City, what's another name? Silver Lake people. I don't live there, but I'm concerned because when you have tourists, you have the children walking up after school, they have no sidewalks. If when you're going down again, look, you will see the grass ready to take over the road. I mean, something has to be done. We have to think of other people. And what again? Yes, a little, I don't know, just an advice. I don't know if Mr. Tourism, if it has ever crossed your mind to charge even if it's $1 at the botanical gardens. If we can kind of put maybe some more for our animals there, because a lot of our tourists do go there. And if we say it's to upkeep, I don't think they will have a problem in just paying $1. Just a thought. Okay.
Good night. I have many different things to say tonight. Number one, it's for Ian Pinad. We are the number one place in this island called Trafalgar. We have the Trafalgar Falls, which everybody on the boat comes up to Trafalgar Falls. When you go to Trafalgar Falls and you go on the platform, you can only see bush. You don't see the falls. You don't only see the bush. And this is one thing that I have to say. This year they had a month for tourism, and tourism never came in this village. Because no matter how you check it out, one way or the other, 99% of tourists come to Trafalgar Falls. And therefore, that's very bad that they come to Trafalgar Falls. You have forestry. You can do anything on the road. You have the falls. When you go to the falls, you can only see bushes. And that's not nice. Every place that you go across the world and they see something that they want to develop, they develop it with something or the other. We are getting people who, like Cuba, is getting into the tourist system right now. So we have to make Dominica be a tourism place. Natural, that is. The Trafalgar Falls need to have a complete reconstruction. I'm telling you that. And we don't need to have a tourist meeting or vendors meeting in October. That doesn't make sense. I would say to the ministers and to the Prime Minister, as soon as tourist meeting finish in April, May should be the month for the cleanup month in Trafalgar. We should have it here because we need to get certain things done. It's not very proper. Mr. Ian Pinad, Mr. Ian, Honorable Mr. Ian Pinad, we have a road down there by the church. For the past year and so on, this road haven't been fixed. We also have the road by Mr. Ashton Bellot that haven't been fixed. And now we have the road by the bridge that's falling apart. We don't know how it's going to happen. This year, Trafalgar have two activities. The best is for Heritage Day. And before Heritage Day, I would like for the Honorable Ian Pinad to try to work on the road just for us, because we need things like that to get done. And last thing, the Watton-Waven Road or Watton-Waven Bridge from Mainati, this thing never got set up today. We know we haven't got no money, but when rain falls, nobody can pass. And if in case something happens on the next side of the road, you can't pass nowhere. So we have to try our best and try to make that bridge work out as good as possible and check and see how we can make the whole thing. I'm very happy that it has finally passed through, that we can get our resource center. You said you don't want to be in this place for the next inauguration, but you might be. But it doesn't really matter. It got passed, so I'm very happy for that. Thank you very much.
Yes, in reference to the question raised by Decima, as it relates to the Central Roma area and the 4 barrels, yes, it's a troublesome area for us. And I must confess to you that this is a discussion that we have been having very often at Cabinet. As a matter of fact, that discussion was held today in Cabinet, and we are quite aware of it. And I spoke with them, and I'm aware from the Minister, Honorable Pinard, that the consultants are here right now from the CDB. It's a CDB project. If you hear the Prime Minister speak sometimes like pulling teeth to get money from the CDB, and he's not very happy with it. I'm not lying about him, he's right there. But the consultants are here, and we're looking at a project in the range of $16.3 million. And the Prime Minister has always said, as with his engineering skills, that what we need there is a wall down there where we can, backfill and, fix up the road, because it's not a long piece of road. And the thing there is we want to interfere, we don't want to interfere as much with that cliff there. Maybe a little bit of, scraping of that, because we want to be careful of the people who live on top Central Roma. So this project technically has started in terms of the consultancy phase, and we are moving towards it. And there are 2 areas on this project under this period of the CDB, one there and one in the area of the Midland entrance here where we had some erosion there with the road, and we want to make sure that we address these 2 problems. So that's been addressed, because we know the young Moses guy who went down there, and it can be a problem for us. Falls. Yes, so with forestry we can do some cleanup of that area there, and maybe look at the platform and see what's happening there to really open up more, because the trees have grown a lot and it's cutting a bit of the access to the Trafalgar Falls. So yes, Marcus, we can look at that. The question you raised about the down there by the church where we want to build the center as well too. We all know Trafalgar, the Roseau Valley, very wet. A lot of underground ravines, just like in Coptol as well too. We just bleeding with water. We are blessed with it. But in terms of the roadways, it creates a major problem for us. So what we want to do, and trust me, Marcus, I've been on that for a while, and we are aware that the Heritage Day going to be in Trafalgar is going to be the best in Dominica to date, our first time technically, but we're going to do it good. And what we want to do there is dig that out. I personally want to dig it out and look at the water there, because they're underground ravines. There are underground ravines there. And we have to look at the water by Mr. Remy House up there and cut a huge drain coming down there to drain in by Blair's house there, and also look at a cross drain from where that's happening there, because asphalt will not adhere in wet areas. So Marcus, yes, that's something I want to dig up, because we're going to start construction down there just now on the community center, so it has to be fixed. And I think it's an ideal opportunity to tarish that area into the community center area there and start working on that aspect of the road. So that's a good point, but that's something that we'll really address very soon. Thank you.
Watson Waven. What's his name? What's your name again? My Palarep. I'm looking at the Watson Waven Road. I'm coming back on that same point of Watson Waven Road. Watson Waven, Watson Waven, everybody's a trap. It's like Watson Waven is in a hole. One road to go down to Roseau. It's fact. No, listen to me. If there's to go to Castle, University Castle, yeah, because you all made it to go to Castle, to go to Mount Prosper. You all maintain that, please. You all maintain that. So there's a trap to go to Mount Prosper and then go back to Roseau. I'm picturing now, if you all can make, I mean, there's only one God. Hey, you all can make a road to go to Mount Prosper, because you all started that road from Over Bridge. I don't know from Mount Prosper here, but they started that road from Over Bridge to come back to Watson Waven. Don't laugh at me, but it's true. And that road should, no, that should happen. And it's facts. Because Loda, Watson Waven, it's like it's one thing. And it's true. Because what we're not trapped here. If there is a earthquake or a flood here, where are we? Where are we going to run to?
Okay. Stalin, you're making some extremely important points there, and you're right on target, actually. And I must commend you for that, really. And but you must understand that it has to be done in phases. So this phase, we want to look at the Wharton River to Copthall Road. It's a $5.5 million project. We have pledged $2.5 million, and we will start this project. The point you raised about the bridge, and every time it rains, we cannot cross that bridge. Very, very true. But we understand it's a road that, you understand the history of that road. We have just completed the Emsall Bridge, which was a similar type of bridge. So Wharton-Waven, the Trafalgar Wharton-Waven Bridge, the turn will come for that. But we thought it was important to look at the main Wharton-Waven road first, which once we repair that, we sure, since we were born as the road we have been using, this is a new road, as we know it was a track before. The point you're making about the over-bridge road in Mount Prosper to the back of Wharton-Waven, this is a dream of mine, but I have to dream first before we build that road. But it's a very good point.
I can understand that.
Yeah.
I can understand that. I can understand that.
Yeah.
But there was a road. There was a road from.
I know. That's why I told you.
Loda to Springfield.
Yes, but let's be honest. Dominica is not an easy country.
Thank you very much.
We have mountains, we have rivers, we have ravines and hills. Trust me, when you visit Antigua, Barbados, flat road. Flat land. It's a challenge here. And we are doing our best as a government because this is the only government that has invested heavily in roads. That's why people are not making a lot of noise about the road fund.
Thank you, and I can see you people from the valley would want to go on all night. But, tomorrow is a working day, and some of you have responsibilities to discharge as at home. So we want to invite the Honorable Prime Minister to bring the curtains down for us on this third community town hall meeting under the theme, Keeping It Real. Honorable Prime Minister to wrap up.
Mr. Prime Minister, you were talking about Roseau sometime when you started your address. Roseau stinks. I can tell you Roseau stinks. And then you have that thing of transport cars parking 15 feet from all on the sidewalk and all from a fountain. Can I give you an advice, please?
Yeah, sure.
And then before you do that, advice. What I suspect happening at the ending of the month, I don't know if that's the time the police officers are making their pay, but that's the time they're on the road. That's the time they're on the road. And there is not enough tickets going out. I don't think so. I don't think there's enough tickets going out. Because you cannot tell me that you are parking in the turning point where an incoming traffic is, and you are there for 15 minutes, 20 minutes. What I can suggest, that with the traffic department, you have from Astafans to way down to the Bayfront, and each intersection of the road, you put 15 days to park on one side, 15 days to park on one side, and then the other 15 days you park on the other side. So that means one side of the road is clear. No.
Okay. Thank you.
It can be done. It can be done. But the thing is that we have to, the traffic department has to be very ardent at that. So when people are parking right in the corners for incoming traffic and on the sidewalk, so that I haven't got to pain in walking in Roseau, that people can travel.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Let me say thanks to all of you who asked questions and made some very sincere comments during our engagement. We want to say to you that we have taken note of all of the concerns you've raised, all of the questions you have asked, and all the points that you have pointed out to us. Because we're here to really hear from you, the residents of the valley. That is the real purpose of the town hall meetings, to hear from you your anxieties, your aspirations, what's happening that's good, what's happening that's not good, what the government can do and should be doing better so that we can make life better for all of us in the country. I want to say, once you come to Trafalgar, people like Decima must have plenty of questions and so on, and we always appreciate Decima's straightforward questions and so on. And I want to say I missed Stafford. I'm not sure if he's sick or something. But Stafford Morency always has some very profound questions. I miss him. And I want to say to all of you here and all of you listening that for all your metal works, you check Elvis Morency. Elvis Morency is one of the, if not the best metal person we have in Dominica. He gives you excellent service, professional service. So we should patronize his business and so. It's a free ad. But I want to say seriously, we in the country we have some very positive people. And I think it's important for us as a society to highlight those positive people. And Elvis has always been very instrumental and very helpful with the training of young people. Always at the forefront of accepting as many people as possible. That's it? Okay, good. So I want to thank you for this. Because at the end of the day, we have a small country of 70,000 people. And I believe if each one of us in this country were to commit ourselves and recommit ourselves to, first of all, positive thinking about our country and our community, but also putting into action those positive thoughts, our country will be much further than where it is now. The problem we have in Dominica is that, we spend too much of our time, or God-given time, criticizing in a destructive manner. Criticism is good, but should it be in a destructive manner? Should it be to seek to dissuade those who are engaged in building Dominica from building Dominica? Or should it be about encouraging those of us who are involved and those of us who would like to get involved to get involved? And unless we will move away from viewing things always, and both sides must take, the government take responsibility for it, also we hold the opposition responsible for it. That we have to move from viewing things always in a partisan perspective. We have to think Dominican. And there will be arguments, there will be disagreements, but let us understand that you will get in return what you put in Dominica. So if you are always engaged in negative talk and not engaged in any constructive, then what do you expect the country to be? If you expect the government to do every single thing, for example, the point was raised about garbage collection and disposal. When I go across Dominica, it is a very costly exercise for the government, for the state, to collect garbage across Dominica. And really no charge to people. People pay $20 sometimes, $10 sometimes. But it's a free call, it's a free service. And I believe that we have to engage ourselves in better garbage disposal practices. We ought not be sending everything to Labas. There are things that can stay in our backyards, in the whole banana peel on the side of the road. And we do not follow the schedule of the truck coming in. And then we leave it on the side of the road. Then rats and cockroaches that come in there. And then what happens to the country? But we have to pay attention to those things. Because yes, we have a beautiful country. Yes, we have waterfalls and lakes and hot springs and so forth and rainforests. But we cannot go boasting to the world about Nature Island only on what the good Lord has given to us. What are we doing to enhance it? What are we doing to protect it and conserve it? So we have to look at those things as citizens and to play our part in nation building. As we have always said, the government does not have all the answers to the challenges confronting Dominica. You understand? We do not have all the answers. But I believe with concerted effort by all, our country can see the kind of growth, our country can see the kind of development and the creation of jobs in our country. So we want to thank you in the Valley and rest assured that this government is committed to the Valley, is committed to continue the transformation of the economy and the way of life in the Valley. When you look back at the last 15 years, this government has invested tremendous sums of money into the Roseau Valley. But we inherited a very difficult situation where every single road in Dominica was bad and we had to be spending money as well. We spent over $50–60 million in the Valley improving the roads because we understand the importance of the infrastructure to your tourism. Tourism is important to you. And when you look at the budget address, and there's some copies there, you can get it online also, and you look at the massive investment the government is making in tourism, and my friend Mr. Johnson said 99% of tourists come to the Valley. So with the construction of additional hotel rooms, I mean, we have the range which will start this year at 161 rooms. We have Silver Beach that has received initial approval by the committee, by the government. There's 200 rooms. We have a hotel that will be built in the heights of Soufriere, I believe 100 rooms. You're talking about Tranquility Beach in Salisbury, I believe 68 rooms. The Moroccan Hotel is 68 rooms. And a number of other investors. Another investor who will be buying some land in Portsmouth, 10 acres of land to build a hotel of over 100 rooms. And all these people are prepared, are gearing to commence and to move forward and so forth. So in the next few years, we'll be increasing the number of rooms at the 4- and 5-star level in excess of 700 rooms. And one can appreciate the jobs that were created during the construction phases of these hotels, but critically, the employment that we created, permanent jobs that we created after the hotels have been constructed. And one of the you can go online and see it. It's a top European brand. And there's another developer, and I'm not in a position now to disclose who it is, and that will be done subsequently, but who has gotten approval from Hilton to use the Hilton brand here in Dominica for the development of one of the hotels. So we are making progress. We are making progress. And I believe that that will redound to the benefit of so many people, because our effort, our move, our push is to create sustainable jobs, not only for those of us who are resident here in Dominica, but I've always said that it is my dream and my motivation to create opportunities for Dominicans here, and also for Dominicans who live in Antigua and St. Martin and Anguilla to be able to come back home. Because I know a number of them would like to come back home and to live with the family. But we have to create the opportunities for them. And I believe with the investments in tourism, the investment in geothermal, the investments in agriculture, the investments in our trade efforts, the investments in education, I believe if all of these things were to come to fruition with the help of the good Lord and your support, I believe our country will go places and our country will get to places. So let us live here, let us recommit ourselves and commit ourselves to positive thinking about Dominica. You will not always agree with everything the government does. And I don't expect you to agree with everything the government does. But where the government is doing things that are benefiting people and benefiting the country, let us speak about it in a positive way. You understand? Because, you know, and we have to look at what we say about our country. No, you may not like scary and so on. No, that's fine. That's okay. You know, but love your country. Why is it that we are using technology access to media to seek to give Dominica Black Eye every opportunity we get. Instead of people going to the United Nations and telling the UN, give us more money, they're protesting of some things outside the UN. Put placards and say, Dominica want plenty of money, give us money to build this and to build that. But every opportunity we get, some people in Dominica, is to bring the country down. Now, understand the impact on your way of life. People reading the negativism about Dominica, they're going to ask themselves, what is happening in this place? Do I really pay my ticket and go and pay hotel to come to this place that appears to be in serious problems, turmoil? So we have to look at these things. But we cannot seek, in an effort to get where the government is, to destroy the country in the process. That has never been the intention of politics. Politics has to be robust, yes. It has to be intense, yes. But politics was never created to be used as a vehicle to destroy a country or to destroy the way of life of people. So people have to be able to separate the country from personalities. And I believe each one of us must be disciples of good tidings about our country. And you know, what has made, let us understand, the United States of America was a colony of Great Britain. Ask ourselves, in the study of American history, what has made the United States so great? Notwithstanding the war which they fought between the South and the Republicans and the Southern people. They have remained strong because of the undying love for their country. And while the Americans will tussle between among themselves, they will come in their country's defense at every opportunity. And you will not catch an American speaking negative of his country to you. You understand? But the United States is now, and has been for a long time, the strongest economy in the world, the most powerful nation. So it came from a colony, a divided colony, to having saved Europe a number of times because of the failure of the European economy. The United States had to save Britain and France and all of these countries on a number of occasions because the people there, they wrapped themselves around the United States flag, the flag of the United States of America. They love the country. And when those of you who may have become American citizens, part of the pledge that you have to say is that you shall, and you put your hand up and you say, you shall take arms in defense of the United States of America. That's to the extent to which they view their citizenship, that they will take up arms in defense of the United States of America. So when we see things a particular way in certain countries, we must ask ourselves, how did they get there? How were they able to achieve this? And they were not able to achieve this by negative talk. They were not able to achieve it by bringing down each other. They were not able to bring it by denigrating their own country and black eye in their country. They were able to achieve it because they love their country more than anything else. And understand this, that when people seek to destroy the country, they're not destroying me, my brother. You know, because as Christians, our ultimate judge is the Most High. So they're not destroying me. If the roads are bad, I have no helicopter to fly from Roosevelt because I have to drive on the roads. My children are in schools there. I use the same facilities as everybody else. So, you know, and the country is part of ours. It's everybody's country, not Skerritt's country. I would love to have a country named Skerritt and so on, but I mean, you know, I wouldn't mind that. Skerritt Island and so on. Thank you very much. God bless you, my friends. Thank you.
Okay, brothers and sisters, we will ask Gary Shillingford to move a vote of thanks on behalf of the community.
Yeah, on behalf of the people of Trafalgar and the Roseau Valley, I would like to personally thank the Honorable Prime Minister and his team of ministers for taking this evening to explain the details of the budget to us. And we want to thank you for such a people-oriented budget, a budget looking to move Dominica forward. Thank you.
Okay, brothers and sisters, I think there's some light refreshments before you leave, so do partake of them and have a pleasant night and a safe drive home. Thank you very much.